Phoenix Nights. Chapter 3487. The dragon scale that the Patriarch of the East Pole brought out was shockingly powerful. It could actually contend against the 10,000 demons' ancestral sword. This was something that Gu Fei had not expected. It was only a dragon scale the size of a palm, and there weren't any powerful energy waves erupting from it. However, it was an attack that couldn't be any simpler, and yet it was enough to make the demonized Li Lingfeng suffer. The great ancestor of the East Pole sect took out the dragon scale again. This time, he wanted to give Li Lingfeng a fatal blow. The dragon scale instantly slashed down on Li Lingfeng. Just as Li Lingfeng's head was about to be separated from his body, a hand suddenly reached out from the side and grabbed the dragon scale. When the Eastern Pole ancestor saw this, he couldn't help being startled. No one understood this dragon scale's power better than he did. No one had ever been able to grab a dragon scale with their bare hands. But now, someone had actually grabbed the dragon scale with his bare hands. How was that possible? He took a closer look and saw the person grabbing the dragon scale was a young man in a black outfit. Wisps of immortal glow were circling the young man's hand. The skin on his hand was different from the skin of an ordinary person. It was a sky blue color. It turned out that this black-clothed youth was wearing something on his hand. No wonder he dared to reach out and grab the dragon scale. The great patriarch of the East Pole sect understood, but he was still shocked. He could not tell what the other party was wearing, but it was definitely not something simple. At that moment, Li Lingfeng took advantage of the moment when the black-robed young man grabbed the dragon scale to slash out at the patriarch of the East Pole tribe. Without the protection of the dragon scale, it was very difficult for the patriarch of the East Pole tribe to block the attack. The black light sword chi that rushed out from the 10,000 demons' ancestral sword instantly slashed at the great ancestor of the East Pole. However, the next moment, the sword chi collapsed in the void. It turned out that a sword shadow had charged out from the black-robed young man's body, directly destroying the black light sword chi. Roar! Li Lingfeng roared, and a myriad demons' ancestral sword in his hand slashed at the black-robed young man. He seemed to have completely lost his mind and became a puppet of the myriad demons' ancestral sword. Buzz! Just as the sword essence of the 10,000 demons' ancestor was about to strike the black-robed young man, a rumble was heard. The shadow of a huge cauldron appeared on the black-robed young man's body, sending Li Lingfeng flying along with his sword. After blasting Li Lingfeng away, the shadow of the huge cauldron that emerged from the black-clothed young man's body also dissipated into the void, leaving no traces behind. What happened? Everyone was shocked when they saw this. Who are you? At that moment, the great ancestor of the East Pole great ancestor looked at the black-robed young man and asked calmly. On his body, the illusory figure of a dragon turtle condensed from the essence of a true dragon appeared faintly, emitting an extremely powerful pressure. This was the aura of bloodline power. If it was an ordinary quasi-supreme being, their divine soul would have been shaken long ago, and they wouldn't dare to fight with the Eastern Pole old ancestor at all. However, Gu Fei was different. He wasn't an ordinary quasi-supreme being. This kind of pressure was no longer able to affect him. Even if the true divine might of the extreme Tao were to descend, he would still be able to resist it. To think that there are actually descendants of the Grand Sovereign in the ancestral God realm. Gu Fei smiled, then said to the great ancestor of the East Pole sect. He didn't answer the question. What are you talking about? When the great patriarch of the East Pole heard Gu Fei's words, he was finally moved. Hee, you should know very well what I'm talking about, Gu Fei said as he looked at the East Pole patriarch. At this moment, the dragon scale in his hand gradually calmed down, causing the East Pole patriarch to be shocked. Who exactly are you? The great Grand Master of the East Pole sect had no choice but to be moved, because the dragon scale was his trump card and also his most important thing. It could even be said to be his protective talisman. He was only able to live until now because of this dragon scale. Otherwise, he would have died a long time ago. This was especially true during the era of the Great War of Gods and Devils. The Great War of Gods and Devils had affected the entire ancestral god realm. Naturally, the Eastern Pole Old Ancestor could not remain unscathed and was dragged into the war. If it weren't for the protection of the dragon's scales, he would have perished in the great war of gods and demons. Me? Someone who has a bit of a relationship with your relative. The person who took the dragon's scale was Gu Fei. He looked down at the dragon's scale in his hand. He was able to take this dragon scale because he was using the Tai Huang's cultivation technique. With the Tai Huang's cultivation technique, it was naturally a piece of cake for him to take the dragon's scale. Gu Fei saw that the dragon scale in his hand was fundamentally different from ordinary dragon scales. On this dragon scale, there were actually 9 dragon-shaped Dao patterns faintly visible. The 9-dragon Dao pattern was a supreme Dao pattern created by the Tai Huang. No wonder this dragon scale was so powerful. This dragon scale was definitely at the extreme Dao level. This dragon scale was condensed with the power of the Tai Huang. It was probably the scale on the Tai Huang's body. You can't be from the dragon clan, but why do you know my clan's cultivation technique? The East Pole Patriarch stared at Gu Fei with a serious expression. An extremely dangerous aura emanated from his body. If Gu Fei answered wrongly, he would attack at any time. I've told you that I have a bit of a relationship with your relative. Why don't you believe me? The East Pole Patriarch was still skeptical. After all, he was the only one left of his bloodline. The other clansmen had long since perished. The Tai Huang and the Sky Yao had fought for the position of Monster Lord. In the end, the Sky Yao had been defeated, and the Tai Huang had succeeded. Thus, the Tai Huang's bloodline was still regarded as the orthodox lineage. The Sky Yao, on the other hand, were considered traitors. The Tai Huang and the Sky Yao had fought so fiercely that even the Tai Huang's 9 sons had been affected. Naturally, the Sky Yao's descendants had been affected as well. The truth was that old ancestor East Pole had been hunted down by the heavenly demon clan and inadvertently escaped to the ancestral god realm. Since then, he had lived on the East Continent, and eventually became one of the most powerful old fogies on the East Continent. The East Pole Patriarch had only recently come out of seclusion. Even though the East Continent had undergone a drastic change, such as the destruction of the Golden Crow clan and the resurgence of the Chaos Golden Rock clan, he couldn't be bothered. However, when the news of the myriad god ancestral swords' appearance spread, the East Pole Patriarch could no longer sit still. By then, the East Pole Patriarch had begun to believe Gu Fei's words. I can believe you if you want, but you have to return the dragon scale to me first. The East Pole Patriarch stared at the dragon scale in Gu Fei's hand. I'll return it to you then. Gu Fei waved his hand and threw the dragon scale towards the great ancestor of the East Pole Great Ancestor. The East Pole Patriarch was in a great mood when he saw this. He hurriedly reached out and retrieved his dragon scale. Just as the East Pole Patriarch retrieved the dragon scale, Li Lingfeng, who had been sent flying by Gu Fei, attacked Gu Fei and the East Pole Patriarch with the myriad demon ancestral sword in hand. Chapter 3488. Li Lingfeng seemed to have been completely demonized. He actually attacked Gu Fei, which both shocked and infuriated Gu Fei. The power of the sword light that erupted from the myriad demon's ancestral sword was nothing to be scoffed at. In his haste, Gu Fei did not have the time to activate the Saint artifact to protect himself. Swish! His figure directly disappeared into the void. The black sword light descended from the sky, creating a huge spatial crack where he had originally been. The spatial crack was like a bottomless abyss that lay across the world. The power of the laws of the world in the graveyard of the gods was very powerful. Even if the void was shattered, it would repair itself in a very short amount of time. Li Lingfeng slashed out 2 sword lights, while the other one directly descended on the great ancestor of the East Pole Great Ancestor's head. The great ancestor of the East Pole Great Ancestor, who had already retracted his dragon scale, naturally paid no attention to the sword light. He brought out his dragon scale right away. The descending sword light landed on the dragon scale, but it was blocked right away. Li Lingfeng grinned ferociously and pounced at the great ancestor of the East Pole Great Ancestor. The demonic sword in his hand shone with resplendent sword light, and the devouring power that emanated from it devoured the worldly essence in the surroundings wildly. Cosmos Devourer! Li Lingfeng roared furiously and performed a demonic ability. The black sword in his hand immediately disappeared, replaced by a pitch-black vortex. A wave of devouring demonic power surged out from the depths of the vortex. The space before the vortex immediately collapsed and was devoured by the vortex. The devouring power also enveloped the Great Ancestor of the East Pole Great Ancestor. However, the Great Ancestor of the East Pole Great Ancestor simply stood there casually. A palm-sized dragon scale hovered above his head. No matter how powerful the devouring power from the depths of the vortex was, it was unable to even move a corner of his clothes. "All right, let's stop here," said Gu Fei. Then, he flipped his right hand, and a small, unadorned cauldron the size of a fist appeared in his hand. In the next moment, a wave of energy that could awe the universe surged out from the small cauldron in Gu Fei's hand, and it suppressed the entire world. Li Lingfeng's movements immediately slowed down. It was not just Li Lingfeng. Even the great Grand Master of the East Pole felt that he was being affected by a power, which made him very displeased. By then, Gu Fei had already taken a step forward, standing between Li Lingfeng and the Great Ancestor of the East Pole sect. An even more powerful force of the cauldron of mountains and rivers erupted. This time, Li Lingfeng was swept away by the power of the cauldron of mountains and rivers like a gust of wind. His miserable cries rang out in the air. Even the great patriarch of the East Pole, who was protected by the dragon's scales, was shaken and was forced to retreat 10,000 feet away. Seeing that Gu Fei had actually separated Li Lingfeng and the Eastern Pole Old Ancestor by himself, everyone was inexplicably shocked. This black-clothed young man was actually powerful to such an extent. Some of the cultivators from the East Continent had long since recognized Gu Fei, but they were still shocked by the battle prowess and cultivation that Gu Fei had displayed. The Golden Crow tribe's extinction was no coincidence, and it was certainly not luck. Just as Gu Fei separated Li Lingfeng and the Eastern Pole Old Ancestor, a loud rumble suddenly rang out in the distance. The ground then began to shake, and a cloud of dust rushed up from the ground in the distance, straight into the sky. Then, the ground split open, and dust filled the air. Something deep in the ground had actually broken through the bottom layer and rushed out from the ground. Rumble! The ground shook, and it was as if the entire ground was about to collapse. Terrifying cracks that looked like abysses kept appearing on the ground. Amidst the dust that filled the sky, an ancient city rushed out from the ground. It was an incomparably huge ancient city. It broke through the soil and soared into the sky. At the same time, an incredibly holy aura of the divine way spread out from the top of the huge city, and the entire city was enveloped in a ball of divine light. Everyone stared at this scene with their mouths agape. No one had expected that there would be an ancient city deep in the graveyard of the gods. The ancient city rushed up into the sky and then floated there, not flying away. The ground was still covered in dust, and there was a huge crater in the ground. Myriad Gods' Ancestral City? The Eastern Pole Old Ancestor's eyes immediately lit up when he saw the ancient city in the sky. He then rushed up into the sky and rushed toward the ancient city. At the same time, other experts also rushed up into the sky, wanting to enter the ancient city. Roar! A terrifying roar came from the distance, and then a figure rushed over with lightning speed, about to rush into the ancient city. However, at that moment, a huge hand slapped out from the ancient city and slapped the unknown living being that was rushing over from afar away. Everyone was shocked at this scene. There was actually an expert guarding the ancient city? How was this possible? One had to know that this was the graveyard of the gods. At this time, Li Lingfeng also rushed over from the distance, directly rushing into the sky, and fiercely pouncing toward the ancient city in the sky. What myriad gods' ancestral city? Gu Fei looked up at the huge city in the sky, and his pupils involuntarily shrank. It seemed that the news of the myriad gods' ancestral sword's appearance was not fake. It was not fake news released by Li Lingfeng. Boom! Bang! Above the sky, there were continuous screams. Those who wanted to enter the huge city in the sky were all blasted away. Some of them were directly blasted into a cloud of blood mist, and their bodies and souls were destroyed. Seeing this scene, everyone was inexplicably shocked, and for a moment, no one dared to rush over. At the same time, huge figures appeared in the huge city, and from each figure there was a powerful aura of the extreme Tao realm. What? This is impossible. Seeing this scene, Gu Fei was also shocked. Could it be that there were countless extreme Tao god ancestors hiding in the huge city? No one knew what was happening in the huge city. Terrifying silhouettes appeared one after another in the huge city, bathed in divine light. They looked incomparably holy, giving people the urge to bow down and worship them. That can't be real. Soon, Gu Fei recovered from the shock. The extreme Tao god ancestors in the huge city were not real extreme Tao god ancestors, but just shadows. Even so, Gu Fei was still shocked by the news. What kind of place was this huge city? So many supreme god ancestors had been here and left their shadows in the city that could not be erased even by time. No one knew this secret, and once it was revealed, it would definitely shock the entire ancestral god realm. Could it be? Chapter 3489. There was actually a giant city buried in the center of the graveyard of the gods. This was something that none of the cultivators in the ancestral god realm knew about, not even the super-old antiques. There's actually a city here. The great forefather of the East Pole great ancestor was also dumbfounded. He had lived long enough and knew many secrets, but he still didn't know enough about this most mysterious place in the ancestral god realm. At this time, no one cared about fighting anymore. They all stared nervously at the giant city floating in the sky in front of them. The giant city was bathed in divine light, and there was a dragon-like divine light of the great path circling around it. And in the ancient city, there was also a supreme figure faintly visible. All of this made the entire giant city look incomparably holy. Inside the ancient city, divine light swirled, as if there was a supreme divine land evolving there. The aura of the divine way spread between the heavens and the earth, actually showing signs of dispersing the aura of death that enveloped the entire graveyard of the gods. Roar! Above the giant city, when the divine power spread out, a terrifying roar came from afar. Some extremely powerful dead spirits were startled. There was no telling how many fallen gods were buried in the graveyard of the gods. Some of the bodies of gods had changed and turned into dead spirits that wandered the graveyard of the gods. Gods were not ordinary living beings, and the dead spirits transformed from the bodies of gods were not ordinary living beings that could be compared to the dead spirits transformed from the corpses of ordinary living beings. Roar! Very soon, another roar sounded from another direction. After that, a powerful aura of death swept over, and half the world turned dark. Endless aura of death was gathering, and a terrifying dead spirit was about to be born. Everyone was extremely nervous, because the aura of death was too powerful. Even the great forefather of the East Pole great ancestor had a grave expression on his face. At that moment, however, Gu Fei discovered that the demonized Li Lingfeng had disappeared to who knew where. This surprised him. The reason he had taken the risk to enter the graveyard of the gods wasn't because of the myriad god ancestral sword. Did you guys notice Li Lingfeng? Gu Fei asked the demon spider and dragon head demon beside him. I don't know. He was here a moment ago, but he disappeared in the blink of an eye, the great demon spider said. At this time, it was thinking about the Darkness Chief Sovereign's demonic essence that Gu Fei had obtained. If its master could give that demonic essence to it, that would be great. Whoever finds Li Lingfeng will get the devil origin, Gu Fei said. He naturally knew what these two guys were thinking. Yes, master! The great demon spider and dragon head demon were overjoyed when they heard this, and they immediately turned around and left. At this moment, a huge black shadow appeared in the pitch-black sky in the distance. Endless deathly aura was vast and mighty, and two blood-red lights were faintly discernible within the deathly aura. In another direction, a devilish figure also appeared between heaven and earth. The two great super undead spirits actually showed signs of gathering and annihilating a group of experts from the ancestral god realm. This was definitely not a good thing for the experts of the ancestral god realm. At this time, Gu Fei was watching this scene like an outsider. To the ancestral god realm, he was originally just a passerby. Although he had cultivated his own forces here, he still had to return to the human world in the end. He couldn't stay in the ancestral god realm forever. Oh no! The experts of the ancestral god realm couldn't help but change their expressions. At this time, in the towering deathly aura, countless silhouettes could be faintly discernible. They were the silhouettes of countless undead spirits. It was an army of undead spirits. These super undead spirits were much stronger than quasi-supreme beings, so they naturally had an army of undead spirits fighting for them. The graveyard of the gods was very large, much larger than any of the 5 great continents of the ancestral god realm. Naturally, such a large place wasn't something that could be completely occupied by a single supreme dead spirit. What should we do? Is this really a trap? Someone cried out in alarm. Even the old antiques of the ancestral god realm who were used to seeing storms couldn't sit still. However, the huge city in the sky was truly the myriad gods' ancestral city. Perhaps the legendary #1 divine weapon of the ancestral god realm really was in the city. The aura of the ancestral city was simply too astonishing. However, the ancestral city was protected by a powerful force. Even the old antiques wouldn't have an easy time barging in, let alone others. Rumble. Just as the experts of the ancestral god realm were at a loss as to what to do, the sound of wind and thunder suddenly came from the distant sky. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and were shocked. They saw a huge black hand directly grabbing at the huge city from the distant sky. The huge hand erupted with a monstrous, deathly energy that shook the entire world. The terrifying super undead spirit in the distance had made its move. Deathly energy erupted in the sky, filling the earth and sky with an oppressive atmosphere that made everyone's heart palpitate. Everyone found it difficult to breathe. Everyone watched this scene nervously, but no one tried to stop it. Boom! The huge black hand directly grabbed the layer of divine light in the sky above the huge city. The layer of divine light shook violently as if it was about to be torn apart by the black hand. The divine power and the deathly energy collided, producing terrifying waves that forced the experts of the divine clan to retreat further away. It's as powerful as a quasi-supreme expert's all-out attack. Gu Fei couldn't help but be shocked at this scene. The super undead spirit was indeed powerful. A casual attack was so powerful that a quasi-supreme expert was definitely no match for it. The super undead spirit was definitely one of the most powerful existences below the extreme Tao. It was an existence at the same level as Tsung Quebec. At this moment, the divine light that shrouded the myriad gods' ancestral city gradually dimmed, as if it was about to be torn apart by the black ghost hand. However, at this moment, a figure in the myriad gods' ancestral city moved. Vaguely, the figure seemed to have struck out a palm. Then, the huge black hand directly collapsed in the void. The deathly aura that shrouded the world seemed to have been dispersed, and the dim world became bright again. Roar! A terrifying roar came from afar, and the monstrous devil chi was surging. A ferocious and terrifying devil shadow was emitting a strong devil nature aura, which almost affected the minds of some god ancestor experts. Demonic aura was hard to resist. It could trigger a cultivator's inner demons. Once the inner demons arose, it would be very difficult to get rid of them. Swish! Chapter 3490. There was no doubt about the power of a super dead spirit. A demonic arrow shot from afar, directly piercing through the layer of divine light that shrouded the sky above the giant city, and hit a figure in the giant city. What? Seeing this, all the experts of the divine clan were shocked. This super undead spirit seemed to be much more powerful than the previous one. At this time, Gu Fei found that the demonic arrow that hit the figure in the city had turned into a gust of black qi and dissipated in the void. Then, the figure disappeared as well. A demonic arrow actually destroyed a Supreme Master's figure in the city of 10,000 gods, ancestral gods. Such a result shocked the super antiques. Existences like the East Pole Old Ancestor naturally knew what the figures in the city were. They were the figures left behind by Supreme God ancestors. After countless years, they still existed and never disappeared. But now, the super undead spirit had directly destroyed a Supreme Master's figure. The power of this arrow shocked even Gu Fei. At this time, in the distant sky, the pitch-black devil chi was rapidly sweeping towards the city of 10,000 gods, ancestral gods. Within the devil chi, countless figures could be vaguely seen. The undead spirit army had arrived. All the experts of the ancestral god realm were shocked. A great battle broke out. Some god ancestor experts directly rushed into the devil chi and fought with the countless undead spirits. One by one, the undead spirits were blasted out of the devil chi by the god ancestor experts. When the devil chi dissipated, countless undead spirits rushed out and attacked the city of 10,000 gods, ancestral gods. The super undead spirit's target was the city of 10,000 gods, ancestral gods, not the experts of the divine clan. Swoosh! Another demonic arrow was shot from afar. Once again, it easily pierced through the divine light, but this time, a figure in the city reached out and grabbed the demonic arrow. Boom! In the next moment, with a loud bang, the demonic arrow that was being held actually exploded, turning into a ball of demonic fire that instantly enveloped the figure. What? Seeing this, everyone was shocked, but then they let out a sigh of relief. They saw that the demonic flames had dissipated, and the figure was still standing there, as if he hadn't been affected at all. Among the Supreme God ancestors, there were strong ones and weak ones. The residual shadows left by the powerful Supreme God ancestors were naturally extremely powerful. It was absolutely necessary. Kill! At this time, silhouettes flickered near the myriad gods' ancestral city. Some experts of the celestial race opened up their inner worlds and released the celestial race's combat soldiers. Just like that, a massive battle erupted. Countless figures moved through the air at high speed as the power of the divine Tao clashed with the power of death. Dead spirits fell from the sky one after another as their bodies and souls were destroyed. There were also ancestral god armaments that were killed by the undead spirits. Blood splattered everywhere. Master, I found it! Just as Gu Fei was about to make his move, a voice suddenly rang out in his mind. Found it? Gu Fei was both surprised and overjoyed. In the next moment, his figure disappeared into the void. However, at this moment, a rumble suddenly rang out in the void. Then, Gu Fei's figure fell out of the void. What? Gu Fei was shocked. Never had he imagined that someone would actually confine an area of the heavens and the earth, and even he was unable to escape. It was truly detestable. Master, come quickly! Help! The voice of the supreme demon spider continued to ring in Gu Fei's mind. Humph! Gu Fei used the 8 desolation steps. With just one step, he rushed out of the encirclement of the undead spirits. He took another step and disappeared into the void. Boom! Bam! Dull crashing sounds rang out continuously. The 3 figures moved quickly in the void like 3 residual shadows. They were almost invisible to the naked eye. One had to admit that the demonized Li Lingfeng was really terrifying. The demonic sword in his hand displayed extreme power. At least, the supreme demon spider and the dragon head demon did not dare to fight head-on with it. Withdraw! Gu Fei took out the cauldron of mountain and river as soon as he appeared. He activated the cauldron of mountain and river. A terrifying devouring power immediately surged out of the cauldron and enveloped Li Lingfeng. Although Li Lingfeng had been demonized, he knew the danger and immediately retreated. However, Gu Fei followed him like a shadow. A rumble came from the cauldron of mountain and river. 9 ancient runes appeared on the body of the cauldron. In the next moment, Li Lingfeng and his sword were sucked into the cauldron of mountain and river. Master is mighty! Seeing this, the supreme demon spider and the dragon head demon were stunned. They hurriedly knelt before Gu Fei. Rise! Gu Fei was in a good mood after putting Li Lingfeng and the supreme demon ancestral sword away. He then took out the demonic source that he had obtained from the ruler of darkness. Although the demonic source was only the size of a fist, the demonic power that emanated from it was unimaginably powerful. Endless demonic light shone from the fist-sized demonic source. This was the purest demonic yuan qi. As long as the supreme demon spider or the dragon head demon devoured it, their cultivation would definitely soar by 1 or 2 levels. The supreme demon spider and the dragon head demon stared at the demonic source in Gu Fei's hand. They wanted nothing more than to pounce on Gu Fei and snatch the demonic source away. Gu Fei glanced at the supreme demon spider and the dragon head demon. Then, he directly split the divine light in half with his sword. He gave the 2 halves of the demonic source to the supreme demon spider and the dragon head demon. The supreme demon spider and the dragon head demon immediately took the demonic source from Gu Fei's hand with great joy. The supreme demon spider immediately swallowed the demonic source in 1 gulp. Then, it sat cross-legged in the void and operated the demonic power to refine the essence of the demonic source. Seeing this, the dragon head demon naturally wouldn't show any weakness. He also sat cross-legged and swallowed the demonic source in his hand. In the next moment, a mass of demonic light emerged from the dragon head demon's body and enveloped him. Within the demonic light, one could vaguely see demonic patterns faintly appearing and intertwining. These 2 guys. Gu Fei was somewhat speechless. He pondered for a moment, and then waved his sleeves to keep the supreme demon spider and the dragon head demon into his inner world. Then he turned around. At this moment, the vicinity of Myriad Deity Ancestral City was filled with fast-moving figures in the sky and on the ground. Battle cries shook the sky. When Gu Fei returned, a super-dead spirit had already attacked the huge city. This made Gu Fei feel incredulous that there was such a powerful existence in the present world. That super-undead spirit was powerful to the extreme, and it was actually fighting endlessly against the afterimages of the supreme beings in the city with incomparable ferocity. Boom! With a muffled sound, a figure flew out of the huge city. This is Chapter 35:17. The myriad god ancestral city that appeared in the depths of the graveyard of the gods contained a great secret of the world that attracted generations of extreme supremes from the ancestral god realm. At this time, in the myriad god ancestral city's city lord mansion, there was a building that looked like an altar. There was a stone that was as tall as a person. Clearly, this was a divine stone. There was a lot of blood on it, and the blood seemed to have just splashed on it. It didn't seem to have solidified. Every drop of blood was glowing with a bloody light, giving off a fiendish aura. Wow, this blood is incredible! The fire ape progenitor, who was standing beside Gu Fei, exclaimed in shock. He was an extreme supremes, so he could tell that the blood on the stone was definitely left behind by an extreme supremes. Only the blood of an extreme supremes could last for eternity and never dry up. The life form sealed inside the stone is even more incredible, Gu Fei said in a deep voice. He wasn't sure if there was a life form sealed inside the stone. Perhaps it was just a shadow, but it could also be a life form. However, regardless of whether the thing inside the stone was a shadow or a life form, Gu Fei didn't want to provoke it. This thing might be a great omen. How do we deal with it? Gu Fei asked the old man. Of course, we'll take it away. The old man looked at the stone in front of him. He was very interested in it. It was something from the primordial chaos world, and he seemed to care a lot about that world. The primordial chaos world was the legendary origin of the myriad worlds. Be it the human world, heavenly world, desolate world, primal chaos demon world, or ancestral god realm, they were all derived from the primordial chaos world. Gu Fei was also very curious about that world, but he knew that the life forms of that world would never welcome him. There might even be life forms from the primordial chaos world in the ancestral god realm. Otherwise, this stone wouldn't have appeared in the ancestral god realm. Are you sure? Gu Fei was a little surprised. Wasn't this guy afraid of trouble the most? He actually wanted to take this stone. If he were to be tainted by the karma, it might be very troublesome. Of course, the little old man said. He did not immediately take away the strange stone. Instead, he circled around the strange stone and examined it carefully, as if he was studying the patterns on the strange stone. At this time, Gu Fei suddenly felt that the blurry figure inside the strange stone seemed to move. Did he miss it? Gu Fei was very surprised. It must be known that with his current cultivation, he would not have any illusions at all. Perhaps the figure inside the strange stone had really moved. Boom! All of a sudden, a muffled sound shook the entire myriad god's ancestral city. What's going on? Everyone on the altar was startled, because the tremors were coming from under their feet. They looked down and saw that the ground beneath their feet had actually cracked. Ancient runes emerged from the ground beneath their feet, interweaving into Tao diagrams that suppressed the extremely powerful force that erupted from the altar. Could there be something sealed below? The fire ape progenitor said in shock. That's right. There is a living being from that world sealed here. The sword slave spoke. As the protector of myriad gods' ancestral city, he naturally knew what was inside the city lord mansion. Why didn't you say so earlier? The little old man was going crazy. This fellow was simply cheating them. He clearly knew that there was a living being sealed here, and yet he did not tell them. You guys didn't even ask. The sword slave shrugged and said. You. The little old man was speechless. Boom! Another muffled sound came from the ground. This time, the ground cracked and the strange stone was almost blown away. The little old man waved his hand, and the strange stone immediately disappeared, taken away by him. Just as the little old man took away the strange stone, the power beneath the altar exploded in an instant, and cracking sounds rang out incessantly. Dodge! The little old man soared into the sky and evaded. Gu Fei and the rest reacted and rushed out of the altar. In the next moment, boom! With a loud bang, the entire altar exploded. Countless fragments shot out in all directions, and countless Tao patterns dissipated in the void. At the same time, a figure rushed out from the ground. Roar! The figure rushed into the sky and roared at the sky. Terrifying sound waves spread out, and ripples visible to the naked eye appeared in the void. Gu Fei and the rest were shocked. Was this fella a living being from that world? The living being had the body of a human, but its body was covered in green scales. Its limbs were long, and its blood-red eyes shone with a ferocious light. A murderous aura spread out from the living being's body. This is... Gu Fei was shocked. This living being was different from the primordial chaotic world's living beings that he had killed previously. This living being gave off an extremely powerful and dangerous feeling. What the hell are you shouting for? The fire ape primogenitor cursed and charged towards the living being, smashing his mace down on the living being's head. Who cares if it's a primordial chaotic world's living being? I'll kill it first. Clang! The fire ape primogenitor's golden rod smashed against the living being's arm, but there was a metallic clang. What a strong defense! Gu Fei was shocked. This guy could actually use his flesh and blood to block his golden rod. This guy's fleshly body was really tough to the extreme. Roar! The living being roared and pounced towards the fire ape primogenitor. It was extremely ferocious. Die! The fire ape primogenitor roared and extended his right hand. This startled the sword slave, but he didn't think too much about it and directly slashed at the silhouette. Buzz! A sword cry resounded through the 9 heavens. An extremely resplendent sword light rushed out from the sword slave's hand, slashing towards the silhouette in front of him. Swish! The sword light flashed and disappeared at an extremely fast speed. The huge figure did not have time to dodge at all. It was directly slashed in half by the sword light and dissipated in the void. However, the living being inside the silhouette disappeared in an instant. Even with the sword slave's eyesight, he couldn't see how the foreign living being disappeared. In the next moment, the living being suddenly appeared behind the sword slave and smashed a fist towards the sword slave. A powerful fist force exploded, destroying and shattering the void. However, a ball of sword light emerged from the sword slave's body and enveloped him. the living being's fist smashed against the sword slave's protective sword light. Bam! A muffled sound resounded. The sword slave only felt a powerful force coming in, and he actually couldn't help but take a few steps forward. Kill! The sword slave was infuriated. With a roar, countless sword lights suddenly erupted from his body. Every sword light cut through the void, displaying an incomparably powerful might. The sword lights filled every inch of the void. The living being couldn't dodge at all and was instantly pierced by the countless sword lights. Chapter 35:18. There was a drastic change in Myriad God's ancestral city. A living being sealed in the altar beneath the wondrous rock broke the seal and rushed out. Extreme Tao-level power erupted from this living being. Although this creature was humanoid, its body was covered in green scales, its limbs were long, and it had a pair of blood-red pupils that made one's heart palpitate. Everyone was astonished to see the creature's appearance. What shocked Gu Fei the most was that the creature was actually an extreme Great Path creature. The fire ape primogenitor charged forward and engaged in a huge battle with this living being. However, the fire ape primogenitor didn't expect that the lifeform's body was so strong that it could contend against the saint weapon of extreme Tao with its own body. The two powerhouses clashed. Extreme Tao-level power erupted and shook the entire Myriad God ancestral city. Roar! The fire ape primogenitor was unstoppable. The golden staff in his hand exploded with supreme power and forced the life form to retreat. However, the life form wasn't weak either. Though it was in a sorry state, it wasn't defeated by the fire ape primogenitor. Clang! The scales on the mysterious creature's body began to vibrate. Then, an incredibly sharp sword beam shot out from each of the scales, piercing towards the fire ape primogenitor. Humph! The fire ape primogenitor's body shook. His armor lit up and countless Tao runes rushed out of it. These Tao runes weaved around his body and formed a light barrier that enveloped the fire ape primogenitor within. The sword light from the mysterious life form landed on the light shield around the fire ape primogenitor, and was blocked by the light shield. The mysterious life form was startled. But at this time, the fire ape primogenitor counterattacked. The golden staff in his hand grew to the size of a heavenly pillar and smashed down on the mysterious lifeform's head. Rumble! The entire void shook as the golden staff smashed down. The void shattered and even chaotic energy was smashed out. Swoosh! The mysterious lifeform's figure instantly disappeared, and the fire ape primogenitor's attack missed. In the next moment, the mysterious life form suddenly appeared in the sky above the fire ape primogenitor. Then, it formed a seal with both hands and pressed down on the fire ape primogenitor. The power of the seal spread out from the mysterious creature's hands, and the entire space seemed to solidify. The fire ape primogenitor, who bore the brunt of the attack, was immediately sealed in ice. But in the next moment, boom! The ice on fire ape primogenitor's body exploded as a ball of extreme Tao true fire erupted from his body. It was like a divine sun had appeared above Myriad God ancestral city, dispersing all of the frigid energy. The mysterious creature did not show any signs of weakness. A powerful cold force burst out of its body and blocked the mighty extreme true fire. Kill! Kill! The two figures collided once again. At the same time, on the other side of Myriad God ancestral city, the sword slave and another mysterious expert were locked in a fierce battle. Rays of extreme Tao's sword light slashed through the void from time to time. On the other hand, the mysterious living being that was battling the sword slave was like a wisp of smoke, as if it didn't have a body of flesh and blood. Streaks of sword light slashed through its body, but it didn't hurt it at all. The void around the sword slave and the mysterious life form was shrouded in a faint mist. The mist came from the mysterious life form's body. It was like the life form's clones, and each strand of mist could transform into the mysterious life form. The mysterious life form appeared and disappeared mysteriously, giving the sword slave a headache. This ancient city actually has a life form from that world sealed. How surprising! The little old man couldn't help but be moved by this scene. One had to know that the two lifeforms that broke the seal were lifeforms from the primordial chaos world. These two creatures were extremely powerful, and they were both true extreme Tao Supremes. However, they had been sealed for countless years, and their vitality had long since been greatly damaged. Otherwise, the sword slave wouldn't have been a match for the mysterious life form. Even so, the sword slave couldn't hold on any longer. After all, he wasn't a true extreme Tao supremacy, so he couldn't fight against one. You go. Gu Fei said to the extreme Tao corpse demon beside him. The extreme Tao corpse demon did not say anything and instantly disappeared. In the next moment, when he reappeared, he had already charged into the void that was shrouded in mist. What? The mysterious creature was startled upon seeing this. At the same time, a cloud of death chi rushed out of the extreme Tao corpse demon's body. In the next moment, a torrential death chi enveloped half the world. When the death chi came into contact with the mist, it immediately corroded it, leaving no place for the mysterious life form to hide. When the sword slave saw the extreme Tao corpse demon facing off against the mysterious life form, he immediately retreated. He didn't want to be affected by the explosion of energy between the two powerhouses. The mysterious lifeform's silhouette finally appeared in the sky. It looked like an illusory figure that could be blown away by a gust of wind. The extreme Tao corpse demon didn't care who that fellow was. The aura emitted from that fellow was a little strange, so he immediately pounced towards that figure. The figure suddenly turned into a spear and pierced towards the forehead of the extreme Tao corpse demon that was pouncing towards it. Everyone was shocked when they saw this scene. What's going on? Could it be that the mysterious life form can transform into any weapon? In the next moment, the extreme Tao corpse demon's right hand grabbed forward. The spear directly pierced his palm and emitted a clanging sound. The spear was sent flying away. When the spear disappeared, the blurry figure of the mysterious life form appeared in the void, emitting a tyrannical aura of the extreme Tao corpse demon. Fortunately, these extreme Tao existences were fighting in the myriad deity ancestral city. If they were fighting in the outside world, many people would have died. Even the myriad deity ancestral city was shaking violently. Cracks appeared on the ground as if it would collapse at any moment. This caused Gu Fei to be indescribably shocked. After all, in his knowledge, this ancient city had existed since time immemorial, so it was impossible for it to be destroyed. At this moment, several other places in the myriad deity ancestral city also emitted powerful auras. Another powerful existence broke the seal and came out. What should we do? Gu Fei asked the little old man. This ancient city was indeed hiding a great secret of heaven and earth. There was actually a life form from the primal chaos world sealed here. Chapter 35:19. What's going on? The myriad god ancestral cities shook violently. The powerful beings sealed within the city were trying to break free and regain their freedom. However, the seal within the city had been reinforced by generations of extreme Tao sovereigns in the ancestral god world. How could it be easy for these beings to break free? Rumble. The ancient city continued to shake, but at the same time, more and more Tao runes surged out of the ancient city, interweaving into Tao diagrams that sealed the primogenitor world's beings. At this time, the old man seemed to have discovered something. In an inconspicuous corner, there was an altar, an incomparably ancient altar. The little old man waved his right hand, and the altar immediately flew up and flew towards him, where he grabbed it. The altar was engraved with incomparably ancient Tao runes. Even a knowledgeable existence like the old man didn't know the origin of these Tao runes. The little old man carefully channeled a strand of divine power into the altar. In the next moment, the markings on the altar lit up. After that, a ball of divine light surged out from the altar and directly opened up a passageway in the void that led to an unknown place. The little old man and Gu Fei were very surprised. This altar was actually a teleportation array platform. Where could this teleportation array platform teleport people to? At this time, the divine power that the old man had injected into the teleportation formation was completely consumed by the formation. The passage opened up by the formation also disappeared. The old man in the form of the mountain river cauldron hurriedly injected another strand of divine power into the teleportation formation, and the passage above the formation reappeared. Gu Fei was very curious about where the other end of the teleportation formation platform was. Then, a figure rushed out from his body and directly rushed into the passage above the teleportation formation platform. The old man continued to inject divine power into the teleportation formation to maintain its operation. Half an hour later, Gu Fei's clone finally returned. To be more precise, his clone had escaped because there was a large group of beings chasing after him. Very soon, a buzzing sound could be heard from the teleportation channel. Fist-sized poisonous wasps surrounded by chaotic aura flew out of the teleportation channel. These poisonous bees flew directly towards Gu Fei and the little old man, which gave them a shock. However, the little old man suddenly stretched out his hand, and a suction force emerged from his palm, directly grabbing the swarm of wasps that flew out of the teleportation channel. "You want this too?" Gu Fei said. This kind of poisonous bee was very formidable. If one was stung by it, even a quasi-supreme being would be poisoned. "This is good stuff." The little old man kept these poisonous bees into the mountain and river cauldron, then asked about the situation on the other side of the teleportation channel. At this time, the ancient teleportation array had already stopped. The teleportation channel above the teleportation formation platform naturally disappeared as well. "It might be the primogenitor realm," Gu Fei said in a heavy tone. The primogenitor realm was the primordial chaotic world. This world was the origin of all worlds, the birthplace of all worlds. This world could be said to be the highest level of world. The living beings in this world were naturally extremely powerful. Those poisonous bees were the best proof. Primogenitor realm? The little old man was shocked. He seemed to be very afraid of this world. No one would have thought that this ancient altar was actually a teleportation formation platform that led to the primogenitor realm. At this time, two powerful divine thoughts suddenly swept over from afar. Then, two figures of extreme Tao immediately rushed towards the little old man. Those were the two mysterious living beings. They were targeting the teleportation formation platform in the little old man's hand. A smoke-like figure instantly floated in front of the little old man and Gu Fei. Gu Fei naturally retreated. With his cultivation, it was still impossible for him to fight against a true extreme Tao Supreme Being. Fortunately, the two mysterious living beings' target was not Gu Fei, but the little old man. Hand over the teleportation formation platform. The other mysterious living being roared angrily and attacked the little old man to snatch the ancient teleportation formation platform. A large hand reached out from afar and enveloped the little old man. "I'll hand it over just because you want me to? What a joke!" The little old man glanced at the two of them and said disdainfully. At the same time, he opened his mouth and inhaled. The large hand that was grabbing towards him was swallowed in one gulp. "You!" The mysterious living being had arrived. He did not expect the little old man to be so powerful. "Come in." The little old man flipped his right hand and an ancient cauldron immediately appeared in his hand. In the next moment, a devouring force appeared from the cauldron, wanting to swallow the mysterious living being as well. The mysterious living being immediately flew towards the mountain river cauldron involuntarily. Just as it was about to be swallowed by the mountain river cauldron, a hand suddenly reached out from the side and pulled the mysterious living being over. Seeing the fat meat that was right in his mouth escape, the little old man was enraged. At the same time, the Fire Ape Ancestor and the Extreme Tao Corpse Demon had already charged over. They fought the two mysterious living beings endlessly. The strong power of the Extreme Tao spread out, and the entire space seemed like it was going to turn into chaos again. Chapter 35:20. Gu Fei felt that the god of the mountain and river cauldron wasn't something an ordinary extreme Tao treasure god could compare to. This was because the old man was ridiculously strong. One had to know that the Fire Ape Primogenitor, the extreme Tao Corpse Demon, and the two living beings from the Primogenitor realm were true extreme Tao sovereigns. Yet, The extreme Tao artifact, the mountain river cauldron, easily defeated them. The Fire Ape primogenitor's strength was overwhelming. The Fire Ape primogenitor, the extreme Tao corpse demon, and the two primogenitor realm beings were directly suppressed and subdued. They had no choice but to submit because the old man had planted a powerful restriction on them. Their lives were in the hands of the old man. Even true extreme Tao sovereigns couldn't undo this restriction. The old man subdued the four true extreme Tao sovereigns, which benefited Gu Fei. This was because the old man directly imparted the restriction to the Fire Ape primogenitor, and the others to Gu Fei. Making these extreme Tao sovereigns listen to Gu Fei made them extremely unhappy, but they couldn't resist because they didn't want to die. Of the two primogenitor realm beings, the humanoid one was called Zhonghan. He cultivated primal chaos profounding power, and could freeze everything within 10,000 miles. The other smoke-like primogenitor realm expert was called Xianing. Both Zhonghan and Xianing had been sealed in Myriad God's ancestral city for countless years. They knew nothing about the current primogenitor realm. The inconspicuous array platform that Gu Fei's group obtained led to the primogenitor realm. Xianing and Zhonghan were both surprised and delighted. They were surprised that Gu Fei's group had a teleportation array platform that led to the primogenitor realm. They were delighted that they might have a chance to return to the primogenitor realm. All right, all of you go and help suppress the other beings. Gu Fei directly ordered the Fire Ape primogenitor and the others. Yes. The Fire Ape primogenitor and the others acknowledged the order and left. Soon enough, a series of muffled noises came from various parts of the Myriad God's ancestral city. True extreme Tao power erupted and suppressed the power that was just about to emerge. It didn't take long for the entire Myriad God ancestral city to calm down. Gu Fei was also very curious about the primogenitor's realm. It should be known that it was the origin of all the worlds in the universe. However, he couldn't go there right now because his combat power wasn't particularly strong. At this time, the ancestral god world experts that broke into Myriad God ancestral city appeared outside the city Lord Manor in hopes of obtaining the divine weapon that was sealed there. A divine artifact could move people's hearts. After sealing the experts of Myriad God ancestral city, Fire Ape progenitor, and the others returned. Thus, they left Myriad God ancestral city and went outside. At this time, countless cultivators were roaming the vicinity of Myriad God ancestral city. At this moment, the Myriad Deity ancestral city's defensive array had been completely repaired. The defensive array's power was definitely enough to withstand the attack of a true extreme sovereign. A city full of secrets. The little old man looked at the giant city and suddenly sighed. It was very likely that this giant city came from the primogenitor realm. Of course, this was just a guess. Let's go and contend for supremacy. The little old man puffed out his chest and strode out of the Myriad God graveyard. No one dared to stop them and they all obediently moved to the side. At this time, the eastern region was in a state of chaos because several major forces had entered the eastern region at the same time. Currently, the eastern region was in an endless war. Especially the Chaos Golden Rock race. They had just regained what belonged to them but were unlucky enough to encounter the most turbulent time in the ancestral god world. When Gu Fei and the others descended majestically from the 9 heavens above the ancestral god realm, the aura of extreme Wei spread out, shocking countless people. Let's clean up the trash in the eastern region first, then march into the central continent and unify the world, Gu Fei said to the others. However, when they returned to the eastern continent, they heard a lot of unfavorable news for the Chaos Golden Rock race. An expert of the Chaos Golden Rock race had fallen, killed by an ancestor of the Pang clan. The Skyfire clan had also sent an even more powerful creature to lead the Skyfire battle army into the eastern continent. However, what shocked the ancestor of the Skyfire clan was that even if Gu Fei wasn't around, it wouldn't be easy for them to break into the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock race. At this time, the entire ancestral god world was in chaos. Not only the eastern continent, but the other 4 continents were also in chaos. Rumble! Endless heavenly fire descended from the sky and completely enveloped the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock race. Figures could be vaguely seen in the flames. The Skyfire clan had used the Heavenly Fire formation to break the defensive formation of the Chaos Golden Rock race with the power of the formation. When Gu Fei and the others arrived near the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock race, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. The monstrous Heavenly Fire illuminated the entire world in a blood-red color. It burned to the point where even the void was annihilated, directly turning into ashes that drifted in the air. Gu Fei looked at the scene in disbelief. "Kill!" Gu Fei ordered. In the next moment, the 4 extreme grade supremes behind him immediately pounced into the Heavenly Fire. In the next moment, miserable screams were heard from the sea of fire. In just a few breaths of time, a figure flashed in front of Gu Fei. The Fire Ape primogenitor was already holding a head. It was the head of the Skyfire clan's leader, who had the ability to kill the ancestor of the Skyfire clan in such a short period of time. This person was the Fire Ape ancestor. The Heavenly Fire formation was like child's play to him. As soon as the ancestor of the Skyfire clan died, the soldiers in the Heavenly Fire formation fell into chaos. Then, Zhonghan, Xianing, and the extreme grade corpse demon broke through the formation. The result of the Heavenly Fire formation being broken through was fatal to the soldiers of the Skyfire clan. All the disciples of the Skyfire clan were killed. The Skyfire clan sent their soldiers to the eastern continent for the second time, but they were still annihilated. "It's time!" Gu Fei looked up. It was night time and the sky was dotted with stars. At this time, the protective formation of the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land was still in operation. However, a door of light had appeared in the void, leading to the depths of the ancestral land. Sun Ke, the ancestor of the chaotic Golden Rock clan, came out personally and invited Gu Fei and the others to the palace in the depths of the ancestral land. "Brother Gu, why were you gone for so long?" Sun Ke asked after the guest and the host had taken their seats. "Well, something unexpected happened, so I was delayed." Gu Fei glanced at Sun Ke, who was sitting on the throne in the middle of the palace. This guy seemed to be doing well. His cultivation had improved a lot. "I see," Sun Ke said thoughtfully. He then looked at the 4 extreme grade supremes standing behind Gu Fei. The aura they exuded was so powerful that he almost couldn't breathe. Rumble. Especially the 2 beings from the primogenitor realm, there were faint sounds of wind and thunder around them, which shocked Saint Quebec. Where did Gu Fei find these helpers? Sun Ke knew the Fire Ape ancestor, but he didn't expect the Fire Ape ancestor to stand behind Gu Fei obediently. Could it be that even the Fire Ape ancestor, a true extreme grade supremes, had submitted to Gu Fei? That must be the case. The more Sun Ke thought about it, the more excited he became. The 4 true extreme grade supremes had appeared in front of him at the same time. This was absolutely shocking. Once the 4 true extreme grade supremes appeared, who could compete with them? Sun Ke felt that as long as Gu Fei was willing to help him, he could definitely unify the ancestral god realm and become the strongest existence in the ancestral god realm. During the period when Gu Fei wasn't around, Sun Ke had lived a very sullen life. There were a few times when he almost didn't return, and there were more assassinations against him. As a result, Sun Ke could only stay in the ancestral land and rarely went out. Now that Gu Fei was back, everything was full of variables. Just as Gu Fei was telling Sun Ke about what had happened during this period, the news that the Skyfire clan's army had been completely wiped out spread. All the super forces who received the news couldn't sit still. It was known that the Skyfire clan's most powerful army was led by an incomparably powerful old ancestor. However, it was a pity that such an army had been completely wiped out. No one would believe it if they told others about it. The news of Gu Fei's return also spread. In an instant, all the leaders of the forces in the East Continent couldn't sit still, fearing that the fierce man would come knocking on their doors. Soon after, even the Pang clan was expelled from the East Continent. It was a message from a chaotic creature to the Pang clan. If they didn't leave the East Continent, they would have to stay forever. After the Skyfire clan and the Pang clan were expelled by Gu Fei, the remaining forces were the local forces in the East region. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, these forces immediately threw themselves into Gu Fei's camp. These fellas were all fence-sitters and absolutely couldn't be trusted. However, Gu Fei didn't eradicate these forces. So what if they were fence-sitters? As long as they were useful and could help, it was fine. However, on the third night after Gu Fei's return, a ball of divine light fell from the sky and landed in the east region. The ball of divine light smashed a huge pit in the ground. The divine light dissipated and a figure appeared in the pit. That person stood up and looked up at the sky. His golden eyes emitted an incomparably sharp gaze. He walked out of the pit and went to the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. After taking a look, he punched the protective formation of the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. Boom! A loud sound rang out, causing the entire world to tremble. This person's fist smashed onto the divine protector light, directly shaking the entire formation. One could well imagine how powerful this punch was. A group of people immediately rushed out of the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. Chapter 35:21. In the east continent of the ancestral god world, outside the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race, a mass of chaotic divine light descended from the sky and smashed onto the ground. The ground shook and dust rose high into the sky. A tall figure walked out of the cloud of dust and a tyrannical aura spread in all directions. The mysterious man arrived in front of the chaotic Golden Rock race's defensive formation. Without saying a word, he attacked the chaotic Golden Rock race's defensive formation. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire void shook. The protective force that was originally hidden in the void appeared and a layer of light barrier appeared in the void, enveloping the entire ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race. There were countless Tao patterns intertwining on the light barrier, forming mysterious and ancient Tao diagrams. Each Tao diagram emitted the most powerful fluctuations of power at the extreme Tao level. Under the pitch-black night sky, the layer of divine light that enveloped the entire ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race was extremely eye-catching. In particular, the mighty aura of the extreme path directly alarmed all the powerhouses in the entire East continent. Who dares to attack the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race? A loud shout was heard from the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race. Then, a group of people rushed out from the depths of the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race. Could it be the guys from the Pang race? They really don't know what's good for them. Someone shouted. The Pang race and the Skyfire race had both attacked the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race before. A few days ago, an ancestor of the Pang race had personally come to attack the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race. If Sun Ke had not personally taken action, the Pang clan patriarch would have broken through the Chaos Golden Rock clan's defensive formation and killed his way into the Chaos Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. At this time, the chaotic Golden Rock race was naturally the strongest race in the East continent. This was because even the Earth Spirit race had submitted to them. The other powerful races were definitely not a match for the chaotic Golden Rock race. Therefore, whoever defeated the chaotic Golden Rock race would be able to unify the East continent and become the overlord of the ancestral god world. Of course, it was definitely not an easy task to defeat the chaotic Golden Rock race. After all, the ancestor of the chaotic Golden Rock race used to be in extreme supremacy. Boom! Another loud sound was heard. The layer of divine light formed by the power of the entire formation became a little unstable. This shocked the group of people that rushed out from the depths of the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral ground. The enemy is powerful. We have to ask the old ancestor for help. An expert of the chaotic Golden Rock race from the older generation said loudly. I'll go invite the old ancestor. Someone answered, turned around, and rushed into the depths of the ancestral land. The person outside was so powerful that he could even shake the guardian formation of the ancestor's land. The person who could shake the guardian formation was definitely someone who could contend with Sun Ke. The Chaos Golden Rock clan didn't have many clansmen, and there were very few experts in the clan. There were even fewer experts who could stand on their own. Peng Jingtian, the Golden Rock goddess, and the others were in seclusion in the ancestral grounds and would not come out easily. Moreover, if the enemy was at the same level as Tsung Kei, they would not be a match for him. Boom! A heavy crash rang out, and the entire protective formation shook. The divine light that enveloped the entire Golden Rock race began to dim. The experts of the chaotic Golden Rock clan were all stunned. It seemed like it wouldn't be long before the enemy broke through the protective formation and killed their way into the ancestors' land. At this moment, in a valley in the depths of the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestors' land, a black-robed young man sitting on a boulder under a tree suddenly opened his eyes. "What's going on?" the black-robed young man said. In the next moment, a figure appeared under the boulder. "An extreme-level expert is attacking the protective formation here," the newcomer said respectfully. This person's entire body was enveloped by primal chi. This was no ordinary primal chi, it was primal cold chi. The place where he stood, even the void seemed to be frozen. "Is that so? Go and take a look," Gu Fei said. "Yes, master." The chaotic silhouette disappeared into the void. In the next moment, the chaotic figure appeared in front of the expert who was attacking the protective formation. There was a layer of divine light between the two experts. Boom! At this moment, the person outside punched out and blasted a huge hole in the layer of divine light. Countless Tao patterns dissipated in the void. What? The chaotic Golden Rock clan was already dumbfounded. This guy was too powerful. He could actually use brute force to break through the protective formation of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. One should know that this was not an ordinary formation, but an extreme-level formation. In other words, the person who could break through an extreme-level formation definitely had the strength of an extreme level. This was because only extreme Tao-level power could break through extreme Tao-level formation. At this moment, the person walked in with large strides. His tyrannical aura made the chaotic Golden Rock clan feel extremely oppressed. Even breathing was difficult. "You are..." Zhonghan stared at the tall figure and felt very surprised. This person had an aura that he was extremely familiar with. The person stopped in his tracks and suddenly looked up at Zhonghan in the sky. He was also very surprised. The gazes of the two powerhouses collided, and transparent ripples appeared in the space between them. At this moment, Tsung Kei's figure appeared in the distance. He did not come over because he knew that even if he wanted to attack, he would have to think twice. An expert of this level was too powerful. "You're also a living being of the ancestral realm?" Zhonghan asked the person. "What do you think?" The person said coldly. "Say your head." Zhonghan was infuriated when he heard this. He immediately threw a punch at the mysterious man below, and a powerful extreme Tao power erupted from his fist. The void was directly destroyed, and the terrifying power form directly obliterated the mysterious person. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The mysterious person did not dodge. He actually opened his mouth and sucked in all the destructive power. Then, he swallowed it into his body and refined it. What? When Zhonghan saw this, he could not help but be shocked. Could it be that the other party cultivated a powerful technique from the ancestral realm, the Sky Devourer technique? In this way, the other party used more and more spiritual chi, while the opponent of this guy was in a miserable state. All the essence chi in his body was clearly being devoured. At this time, Zhonghan no longer held back and attacked with all his strength. An endless amount of cold air erupted from his body, and the surrounding void was directly frozen. However, Zhonghan was like a fish in water in the void. The mysterious person directly broke through the layers of cold air, and his right fist instantly smashed in front of Zhonghan. The fist rapidly accelerated in Zhonghan's eyes. Humph! Seeing this, Zhonghan directly punched out. The two fists instantly collided, and a loud explosion erupted. The two figures separated. The mysterious person separated his hands, and a battle spear immediately appeared in front of him. He then grabbed it, and directly stabbed at Zhonghan. Swoosh! Zhonghan once again disappeared into the void. Even the other extreme grade supremes could not sense his existence. The mysterious person finally showed his face. He was an existence that looked exactly like a human. He was tall and had a mighty appearance, and he looked like a talented person. "Come out!" the mysterious man roared, and a vibrating force immediately spread out from his body, enveloping everything within a radius of 1,000 feet with him as the center. However, he did not notice Zhonghan. "Good fella." The mysterious person was getting a little impatient. He gritted his teeth and attacked with all his strength. In the next moment, the void around him violently shook again. This time, the mysterious person finally sensed Zhonghan's figure. All he saw was a blurry figure hiding at the side, motionless. "Come out!" the mysterious person shouted, and then directly punched the void where Zhonghan was. "Huh! How is this possible?" The void shattered, and a figure directly fell out of the void. This person was Zhonghan. Not only did he cultivate chaotic cold chi, but he also cultivated spatial techniques. Zhonghan's spatial technique was similar to one of the 9 secrets of Immortal Path, the anti-void technique. Of course, the anti-void technique was more profound than spatial techniques. "Die!" the mysterious person roared, and a saber light directly rushed out of his body, slashing at Zhonghan. Wherever the sharp saber light passed, a pitch-black spatial crack was left in the void. Seeing this, Zhonghan directly flipped his right hand, and an item immediately appeared in his hand. It was a bell, a bronze bell. Without hesitation, he directly shook the bell in his hand. A clear and melodious sound was heard, and the saber light immediately shattered in the void, turning into specks of spiritual light and dissipating in the void. Another sound rang out, and everyone's souls shook. This sound contained an incomparable temptation, and the primordial spirits of the weaker cultivators almost left their bodies. However, the mysterious person was not affected by the sound of the bell at all. He directly attacked Zhonghan at an extremely fast speed. However, Zhonghan's speed was not slow either. The two figures moved quickly in the void, and the weaker cultivators couldn't even see their shadows. These two. Some K, who was watching the battle from afar, felt very depressed when he saw that the two fellows were actually locked in battle. A true battle between extreme supremes was incomparably terrifying. Everything in their path was destroyed, and nothing was left behind. The two powerhouses directly charged out of the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. No one could withstand the true might of the extreme path. The clansmen of the chaotic Golden Rock clan had already retreated at the first instance. Otherwise, the group of people from before would definitely have died under the might of the extreme path. Chapter 35-22. The appearance of Myriad God Ancestral City in the Ancestral God Realm attracted the attention of all the forces in the 5 regions. Some old antiques who hadn't shown their faces for a long time also appeared in the graveyard of the gods. Moreover, even after Gu Fei's group left Myriad God Ancestral City and returned to the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock clan in the eastern continent, there were still countless experts rushing towards the graveyard of the gods. Despite knowing that the graveyard of the gods was filled with great dangers, they still wanted to go. It had to be said that the Myriad God Ancestral Sword was too attractive to the Ancestral God realm. Some people knew that their cultivation wasn't high enough and that entering the graveyard of the gods was akin to moths flying into a flame, but they were still willing to be the moths. Of course, the number 1 divine weapon in the Ancestral God realm, the Myriad God Ancestral Sword, had already been taken by Gu Fei. Even if those people flipped the City Lord's mansion upside down, they wouldn't be able to find the sword. After Gu Fei left with the 4 Supremes, the City Lord mansion in the Myriad God's ancestral city became an ownerless place. However, the current City Lord mansion was probably more dangerous than when Gu Fei was here. Because some of the seals in the City Lord's mansion had loosened, the primogenitor world beings imprisoned in the City Lord's mansion had started to attack the seals. Powerful beings like Zhonghan and Xianing had broken out of the seals, but the weaker ones were still imprisoned in the City Lord's mansion. The experts from the Ancestral God realm immediately rushed into the mansion after Gu Fei left. The East Pole Old Ancestor naturally didn't have the ability to stop them. He tactfully retreated because he had already plundered all the good things. There were some divine treasures that even he couldn't get his hands on, so others naturally couldn't either. Only a true extreme Tao supremacy City Lord Mansion could possibly take away all the divine treasures. Rumble. At this time, the sound of wind and thunder came from the myriad god ancestral city's City Lord's mansion, shaking the entire place. Divine lights constantly rushed out of the mansion as powerful existences were fighting inside. For the sake of peerless divine treasures, even existences like the East Pole Old Ancestor would be envious and fight over them. This was inevitable. Buzz! At this moment, a god artifact directly broke through the protective formations of the City Lord's estate and charged out. The moment the god artifact emerged from the estate, it erupted with a terrifying, heaven-devouring power. In the next moment, all the spiritual energy in the surroundings began to gather towards the god artifact madly. "It's the heaven-devouring pot!" someone cried out. Afterwards, extremely powerful figures directly charged towards the god artifact that was devouring the energy of the world in the sky from all directions. Everyone seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they all wanted to get their hands on that divine artifact as soon as possible. "All of you scram!" At this moment, a huge figure suddenly stood up from the City Lord's mansion. Then, with a wave of his hand, he sent all the incoming experts flying. The cultivators with weaker cultivation bases were directly shattered in the void. They did not even have the chance to scream before they were reduced to a mist of blood, their bodies and souls destroyed. This is... The experts of the ancestral god realm who saw this scene from afar all had a change of expression. The giant appeared too suddenly, and there were streams of primal chaos swirling around his body. An extremely powerful and terrifying aura erupted from the giant's body, and the void around him constantly trembled from the impact of the primal chaos power. Spiderweb-like spatial cracks continuously appeared in the void around the giant's body. Seeing this scene, even the old antiques of the ancestral god realm could not help but be moved. This guy was incredible. He was probably even stronger than the East Pole Old Ancestor. The strength of the East Pole Old Ancestor was well known. It was not that there were no existences stronger than the East Pole Old Ancestor, but there were definitely very few of them in the entire ancestral god realm. At this moment, the giant opened his mouth and was about to swallow the heaven-devouring pot in the sky. However, at this moment, a divine light rushed out from the City Lord's residence and snatched the heaven-devouring pot away before the giant could do so. "You're courting death!" The giant was instantly enraged. Too incomparably sharp and fierce light rushed out of his eyes. He stretched out his right hand and directly grabbed the guy who snatched the heaven-devouring pot. The expert who snatched the heaven-devouring pot was too small in front of the giant. A finger of the giant was much bigger than this expert. The moment the giant's hand grabbed down, the void around the expert was sealed. "Hee hee! Want to catch me? Dream on!" That person laughed heartily. Then, he directly disappeared into the void. Even the giant's sealing power could not imprison him. "Who is it? How dare he snatch food from the hands of this big guy?" The old antiques of the ancestral god realm were dumbfounded. That guy was really too awesome. That giant was not an ordinary living being. Perhaps, that giant was a living being from that place. Roar! The giant was furious. Endless primal chaos energy erupted from his body and instantly enveloped the entire City Lord's mansion, and then the entire region. Exclamations immediately came from the City Lord's mansion. Several extremely powerful figures directly broke through the layers of primal chaos energy and rushed out from the City Lord's mansion. "Kill!" The giant immediately attacked a few experts. However, the other party wasn't weak either. One of them even transformed into a giant that was as tall as the giant. "Roar!" That person opened his mouth and roared. Powerful earth element divine energy erupted and dispersed the surrounding primal chaos energy. Two giant hands instantly collided. Boom! With a loud explosion, two powerful forces erupted. This was the collision of primal chaos energy and earth element divine energy. The two giants that were even taller than mountains were simultaneously pushed back by the opposing force. With every step back, a building was trampled to pieces by the two giants. The city lord's mansion was in complete chaos. These two fellows were simply two gods of destruction. Everywhere they passed, everything was destroyed. The primal chaos energy and earth element divine energy mutually cancelled each other out. But a part of the energy still leaked out, which was also destructive to the city lord's mansion. However, the myriad gods' ancestral city could not be destroyed. Only the buildings on the ground were destroyed, but this place still existed. The destroyed city lord's mansion would be rebuilt by a big shot at the right time. But now, a small part of the city lord's mansion had been destroyed by these two fellows. Even so, it was enough to stun the old geezers of the ancestral god world. How could these two fellows? The two giants towered between heaven and earth. Their exhales turned into hurricanes that swept the nearby buildings into the sky. Then, they were torn to pieces and scattered in all directions. Those fragments weren't something that just anyone could withstand. Even a quasi-supreme would be injured if hit by them, let alone other cultivators. The two experts' battle prowess had long surpassed the quasi-supreme realm. They were even stronger than those who used to be supreme existences. This was also the reason why they could destroy the city lord's mansion. This was the battle prowess that was infinitely close to the extreme supreme realm. These two giants could be called a different kind of supreme. Even if they encountered a true extreme supreme, they would still be able to escape unscathed. While the city lord's mansion was in chaos, in the ancestral land of the primal chaos golden rock race in the eastern continent of the ancestral god world, Sun K and the others were facing a crisis that could wipe out their entire race. The primal chaos golden rock race's people had come knocking on their door. The newcomer was extremely powerful and could actually fight Zhong Han. The true divine might of the extreme Tao spread out in all directions. But very quickly, the mysterious person retreated because the entire world seemed to have changed. It was as if something had been activated. It was as if a power stronger than the extreme Tao was awakening. What's going on? In the depths of the primal chaos golden rock race's ancestral land, Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on a boulder, suddenly opened his eyes and looked up at the sky. It was as if a terrifying existence that could kill an extreme supreme was about to awaken. How is this possible? Gu Fei realized that he couldn't see anything because the entire world seemed to be in chaos. Even with the martial path heavenly eye, he couldn't see through it. But he knew that if the power in the depths of the sky truly awakened, even an extreme supreme would be out of luck. It was a power that could suppress an extreme supreme and pose a threat to them. Perhaps that was the reason why the extreme supreme from the primal chaos golden rock race retreated. At this time, Zhong Han had retreated into the ancestral land of the primal chaos golden rock race. He had completely retracted his aura of the extreme Tao, as if he had become an ordinary person. He didn't appear in his original form, but in the form of a human to walk around the ancestral god world. It wasn't just Zhong Han, even Xianing, the fire ape primogenitor, and the extreme corpse demon carefully retracted their aura of the extreme Tao because they could feel that the power in the sky was affecting them. Could this be the reason for the disappearance of those extreme supreme beings? Gu Fei muttered to himself, but he knew that things weren't that simple. At this moment, it wasn't just the 5 continents of the ancestral god world, even those existences in the graveyard of the gods who were using the extreme Tao power chose to retract it and be cautious. There were no problems before, so how did it become like this? Could it be that some existence really activated something? The shock in Gu Fei's heart couldn't be any greater. This was because the consequences were too severe. In the entire ancestral god world, they probably couldn't use the extreme Tao power anymore. Once they used it, it would trigger the power in the sky that was even more powerful than the extreme Tao power. There was no doubt that the power suppressed the extreme Tao power. At this time, the entire ancestral god world gradually calmed down. Even the old antiques were palpitating, and the extreme supreme beings were even more uneasy. Countless experts couldn't believe that an extreme Tao being could be suppressed. There was actually a power stronger than the extreme Tao power in this world. How was this possible? Chapter 35:23. After countless years of preparation, have we finally succeeded? In the human realm, there was a place filled with ghost chi. This was a ghost domain, the legendary and mysterious plentiful city ghost palace. This place seemed to never see the light of day, and it was surrounded by ghost chi. In the depths of the plentiful city ghost palace, there was a palace floating in the sky. It was an ancient palace regarded as a sacred palace by countless ghost cultivators in the plentiful city ghost palace. The old voice that appeared just now came from the plentiful city ghost palace. At this time, there was a shocking change in the depths of the human realm. A power that was powerful enough to suppress the extreme grade supremes seemed to be awakening. The power of the extreme grade supremes was too strong. If such an existence appeared in the human realm, it would definitely cause a devastating blow to the human realm. At this time, not only did the ancestral god realm change, but the human realm and heaven realm also changed. It was as if there was an extremely terrifying creature awakening between heaven and earth. No one knew what happened. Perhaps only the extreme grade supremes knew such a big secret. Suppressing the extreme grade supremes? Sure enough. Such a voice came from the Jiang clan of the desolate antiquity. Old ancestor. The experts of the Jiang clan who were cultivating in the ancestral god realm were all alarmed by this voice. It wasn't that the extreme grade supremes couldn't appear in the human realm or heaven realm. As long as they didn't reveal the cultivation and power of the extreme grade supremes, they would be fine. There was nothing in the human realm. All the forbidden areas in the human realm were very quiet. However, there was a change in a dangerous place in the heaven realm. An extreme grade supremes chose to appear at this time. A huge figure appeared between the heaven and earth, and the extreme grade supremes divine might spread in all directions. However, in the next moment, a bolt of lightning fell from the sky and directly struck the figure, causing it to dim. The appearance of the supremes alarmed countless experts in the heaven realm, but no one dared to approach. One should know that not everyone could withstand the extreme grade supreme's divine might. Even outside the dangerous place, all the experts in the heaven realm were inexplicably shocked. Even their divine souls were trembling. The extreme grade supreme's divine might spread out, and almost all the experts in the heaven realm felt it immediately. Countless heaven realm experts' gazes were attracted. Roar! A roar rang out from the Forbidden Land, causing the entire Forbidden Land to tremble. The ground cracked and the mountains crumbled in the void. It was a terrifying scene that could destroy the heavens and the earth. However, the power in the sky was gathering rapidly, and dazzling bolts of lightning struck down from the sky. Very soon, the huge figure in the sky above the danger zone was dispersed by the lightning. Then, a terrifying figure appeared in the sky. At this moment, a figure rushed out from the depths of the Forbidden Land and directly soared into the sky, attacking the mysterious figure in the sky. In the next moment, the power of the extreme tower erupted from the figure. The figure instantly turned into a ball of golden light, which was many times more dazzling than the divine sun in the sky. This is the metal element exalted being? He's actually still alive. Isn't this the place where metal element exalt perished? He actually didn't die, someone exclaimed. Although the great calamity back then didn't affect the heaven realm too much, and it didn't cause any destructive damage to the heaven realm, there were still supremes who died in the heaven realm. The place where metal element exalted being perished became a terrifying forbidden land. Any living creature that entered this forbidden land would definitely die. The extreme grade supremes left behind here were too powerful. Any living creature that touched the extreme grade supremes left behind here would instantly be destroyed in both body and soul. I didn't think that he actually didn't die. He's been hiding in this forbidden land all this time, someone said in disbelief. At this moment, the mysterious figure in the sky also rushed down from the sky and directly collided with the golden light that soared into the sky. Boom! The entire world instantly darkened, and all the light disappeared in an instant. This was absolute darkness. In the next moment, the entire void collapsed, and two figures rushed into the chaos. However, even in the chaos, the power that erupted in the sky could still penetrate the void and continuously bombarded Metal Element Exalted Being's body. Metal Element Exalted Being's skin and flesh were immediately torn apart. Golden blood splattered everywhere, and he was in an extremely sorry state. There were even some places where his bones were exposed. The power in the sky suppressed the extreme grade supremes, which made Metal Element Exalted Being inexplicably shocked. Previously, he was still very disdainful. One had to know that extreme grade supremes were the strongest existences in the world. There was actually a living creature that could compete with extreme grade supremes in this world? Metal Element Exalted Being wasn't wrong. If it was in the primordial era, extreme grade supremes were invincible existences, but now, it wasn't the era where powerhouses were produced in large numbers. Boom! It was as if the world was collapsing, and the sky seemed like it was going to explode. The power that condensed the entire world directly pressed down. That blurry, mysterious figure seemed to have received the support of this invincible power, and actually tore off Metal Element Exalted Being's left arm. This scene was really too shocking. One had to know that Metal Element Exalted Being's arm was actually torn off by someone. Everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded. Then, an even more shocking scene happened. They saw that mysterious figure instantly enter Metal Element Exalted Being's body. In the next moment, Metal Element Exalted Being's body exploded with a bang. The Supreme Extreme Path physique exploded and turned into a cloud of golden blood mist. The 9 Extreme Path Tao patterns floated in the blood mist, and the dazzling electric light wrapped around the 9 Extreme Path Tao patterns like spider silk. Cracks began to appear on Metal Element Exalted Being's 9 Supreme Grade Tao patterns. What's going on? Is he dying and his Tao vanishing? Some powerhouses of the older generation couldn't help but exclaim when they saw this scene. For cultivators, dying and having their Tao vanish was the most terrifying thing. That was because dying and having one's Tao vanish represented the destruction of one's body and soul. One wouldn't even be able to become a ghost. It was the most thorough way to die. In the next moment, the 9 extreme grade Tao patterns actually crumbled. How is this possible? A weak wave of divine will spread out from the crumbled extreme grade Tao patterns, and an illusory figure dissipated in the void. Metal Element Exalted Being's power was actually devoured by the power in the depths of the sky, and the power descending from the sky became even stronger. The power that originally belonged to Metal Element Exalted Being's extreme grade Tao patterns weakened rapidly, and soon disappeared from the world. An unimaginably powerful extreme grade sovereign died just like that. This made the powerhouses of the older generation of the ancestral god realm dumbfounded. They couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Chapter 35-24. In the Heaven Realm, the Metal Element Supreme was born in the Metal Element Impasse. However, the poor fellow was killed as soon as he was born. An extreme grade Supreme was killed just like that. All the experts in the Heaven Realm were dumbfounded. It couldn't be helped, it was an extreme grade Supreme. At this time, the experts in the Heaven Realm also realized that the power that appeared in the heaven and earth could really suppress an extreme grade Supreme. This was no joke. Apart from the Heaven Realm, all the other great realms underwent changes. The extreme grade Supreme's power was suppressed. This surprised and delighted the Quasi-Supremes. One should know that Quasi-Supremes would be invincible if they didn't use their extreme grade Supreme. What happened in the Heaven Realm was so shocking that it even spread to the human realm. It had a very good deterrent effect, making those experts who could use their extreme grade Supreme to behave themselves. At this time, all the extreme grade Supremes in the ancestral god realm went into hiding. They didn't dare to walk around the ancestral god realm unscrupulously. The peace in the ancestral god realm only lasted for a few days before the flames of war were ignited again. The Skyfire clan and the Huge clan no longer had any scruples. Who were they afraid of? Especially the Skyfire clan. This time, a great elder of the Fire Sky clan personally led 100,000 Skyfire battle troops into the eastern continent to annihilate the Chaos Golden Rock clan. However, the Chaos Golden Rock clan was not to be trifled with. Even if Gu Fei's subordinates couldn't fight, it wouldn't be easy for them to take down the Chaos Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. The Skyfire clan's great elder killed his way to the Chaos Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. The killing intent of 100,000 Skyfire battle troops was so strong that it was enough to change the heaven and earth. Guys from the Chaos Golden Rock clan, do you dare to come out and fight? The Skyfire clan's great elder stood in front of the 100,000 Skyfire battle troops. His voice directly passed through the defensive formation and spread throughout the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. Humph! These guys are really fast. An old voice came from the depths of the Chaos Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. Then, a powerful figure walked out from the depths. This man had white hair and white eyebrows. He was tall, and his eyes shone with a golden light. He was Ping Jingtian, an elder of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. There were two people behind Ping Jingtian, both of whom had extremely powerful auras. It was a man and a woman. The man was a middle-aged man, and the woman looked somewhat dispirited. This middle-aged man was none other than Ping Shi. The young woman was the Golden Rock Goddess. Ping Shi was Ping Jingtian's son, and the Golden Rock Goddess was Ping Jingtian's granddaughter. The three of them had become the pillars of the Golden Rock race. Before Tseng Kei's return, the Golden Crow clan had almost exterminated the Chaos Golden Rock clan. Even if Tseng Kei had a large number of geniuses and could nurture a large number of experts, it would still take time for those experts to truly grow. Furthermore, no one knew if the clansmen who were nurtured through this method would be able to truly become a powerhouse, even if their combat strength rose rapidly by pulling up seedlings to help them grow stronger. Haha! Outside the grand defensive array, Great Elder Heavenfire laughed loudly. Are you clowns hired by a monkey? You want to fight against my 100,000 soldiers with just the three of you? Great Elder Heavenfire laughed loudly. Humph! I alone am enough to kill all of you. Ping Jingtian came in front of Great Elder Heavenfire and stared at him coldly. They were separated by a layer of divine light formed by the power of the grand defensive array. Haha, is that so? You're really boasting shamelessly. Come at me if you have the guts. Let me see what you've got to say such big words. Great Elder Heavenfire crossed his arms in front of his chest and said disdainfully. There's no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. Old ancestor, let me go and kill him. A middle-aged warrior clad in black divine armor and holding a spear came out from behind Great Elder Heavenfire, riding a black flood dragon. Very good! Great Elder Heavenfire nodded. The warrior was overjoyed. He rode the black flood dragon and charged forward. His battle intent was like a rainbow, and a shocking murderous aura emanated from his body. An existence that could erupt with such a murderous aura must be a godlike existence that crawled out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. This general wasn't a nameless figure in the Heavenly Fire clan. He was the Black Flood Dragon General, and his cultivation had already reached the quasi-sovereign realm. The quasi-supreme realm was divided into three minor realms: beginner, middle, and upper realm. The Black Flood Dragon Warrior was a beginner quasi-supreme realm expert. At that moment, a door appeared on the defensive array of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. Ping Jingtian walked out with Ping Shi and the Golden Rock Goddess. As soon as they walked out of the defensive array, the door that appeared on the divine light behind them disappeared. You really dared to come out? Then die! The Black Flood Dragon Warrior attacked Ping Jingtian. The spear in his hand turned into a black light that pierced through the void and pierced the center of Ping Jingtian's eyebrows. However, Ping Jingtian did not dodge. Just as he was about to be pierced by the Black Dragon General's spear, a large hand suddenly reached out from the side and grabbed the spear's head. What? The Black Flood Dragon General's shock was no small matter. This guy actually managed to grab his spear. How was that possible? The person who grabbed his spear was the dispirited middle-aged man who had been standing behind Ping Jingtian. Your opponent is me. Ping Shi raised his head and looked at the Black Flood Dragon Warrior with a sharp gaze. Without hesitation, he slammed his palm towards the Black Dragon General. powerful divine power immediately exploded from his palm. The black flood dragon warrior wanted to pull his spear back, but it was as if the spear had grown out of his opponent's hand. No matter how much divine power he used, he could not pull it back. The black flood dragon warrior had no choice but to let go of the spear. He rode the black flood dragon and dodged the attack. The black flood dragon roared continuously. "Humph! You dare to fight my father? What a joke!" Pingxi looked at the black flood dragon warrior coldly. "You!" The black flood dragon warrior was shocked and angry. His opponent's combat power was indeed strong, but he could not back down now. He wanted to retreat, but he could not afford to lose face. "Come back! You are no match for him," Great Elder Tianhua said. His face darkened. Even he did not expect Yifutian's cultivation base and combat prowess to be so powerful. "Great Elder, this..." The black flood dragon warrior was shocked to hear Elder Tianhua's words. However, he could not retreat even if he wanted to, because Pingxi had already locked onto him. Chapter 35-25. Die! Pingxi was extremely domineering. He instantly appeared above the Black Jiao General's head and slammed down on the Black Jiao General like a golden sun. "No!" The Black Dragon General was scared out of his wits. He wanted to flee, but he could not. The divine power of metal descended from the sky and trapped him, forcing him to watch as the ball of golden light descended from above and landed on him. Boom! With a loud bang, the Black WYRM General and the Black WYRM he was riding exploded into a bloody mist by the golden light that descended from the sky. "You're courting death!" Great Elder Tianhua was infuriated. He extended his right hand and grabbed towards Pingxi. The power of a pinnacle quasi-supreme being erupted from his hand and Pingxi was immediately sent flying towards the huge hand. "What?" Pingxi was shocked. He hurriedly circulated his mysterious art in an attempt to disperse the devouring power that enveloped him. However, he was shocked to find that even if he used all his strength, he would still be sent flying towards the incoming hand. Humph! Right at the moment when Pingxi was about to be grabbed by the hand, a cold laugh resounded, and then a figure appeared by Pingxi's side. The figure pulled Pingxi back before slapping his palm forward. Bam! Two giant hands collided. The power of two quasi-supreme contenders collided. The two figures were pushed back by the power of the other. "How dare you sneak attack a junior? You're too shameless!" Peng Jingtian stared at Great Elder Tianhua and said disdainfully. Pingxi had already retreated. "I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. If you want to fight, let's fight!" As Great Elder Tianhua spoke, he had already made his move. He stretched out his hand and a giant hand appeared in the void, grabbing at Peng Jingtian. Peng Jingtian didn't bother to say anything. In the world of cultivation, the one with the harder fist was the boss. The Heavenly Fire clan wanted to subdue the chaotic Golden Rock clan. However, the chaotic Golden Rock clan was the overlord of the Eastern continent. It was definitely not an easy task for Great Elder Tianhua to break into the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. Peng Jingtian laughed and rushed forward. Boom! With a loud bang, it directly collided with the big hand that was grabbing at it, causing the big hand to dissipate in the void. Two powerful figures moved quickly in the void, fighting fiercely. At this time, the two powerhouses didn't dare to use the power of the extreme Tao. They both fought with the battle strength of a peak quasi-supreme being. For a moment, it was hard to tell who would win. Everyone was watching nervously. If Peng Jingtian lost, there would be no one else in the Chaos Golden Rock race who could compete with Elder Tianhua. Of course, except for Tsang Quebec. If Peng Jingtian was defeated, Tsang Ke would have to fight. However, if Great Elder Heavenly Fire was defeated by Peng Jingtian, then the 100,000 soldiers of the Heavenly Fire clan would be in danger. The 100,000 soldiers retreated to the sky and formed a battle formation. It was a very powerful battle formation that could gather the strength of 100,000 soldiers together. Once such a battle formation was activated, it would definitely be able to contend against the peak quasi-supreme being expert. Kill! Great Elder Heavenly Fire's killing intent was shocking. Rays of quasi-supreme divine light rushed out from his body and turned into a powerful fiery divine sword that pierced towards Peng Jingtian. Buzz! Peng Jingtian's body emitted the sound of a sword. Then, pieces of golden feathers flew out of his body. In the next moment, these golden feathers turned into sword lights and flew towards the fire element divine sword that pierced through the air. Two quasi-supreme divine sword principles collided. The fiery divine force and the metal divine force collided and exploded. Dazzling sword light rushed out and pierced through the heaven and earth. The fiery divine force and the metal divine force continuously collided and burst into balls of divine light. At this moment, the two powerhouses seemed to have turned into two invincible sword gods fighting. The sword chi of a peak quasi-supreme being spread out, forcing Peng Shi and the Golden Rock Goddess to continuously retreat. Peng Jingtian and Great Elder Heavenly Fire used their techniques to switch positions, wanting to defeat each other. However, the two's cultivation and combat power were similar. It was definitely not an easy task to determine a winner. While Peng Jingtian and Great Elder Heavenly Fire were fighting endlessly, Sun Ke arrived at the Golden Rock clan's ancestral land where Gu Fei was cultivating. Gu Fei sat cross-legged on the boulder, motionless, while Sun Ke's figure appeared below the boulder. Seeing that Gu Fei was cultivating with his eyes closed, Sun Ke was about to turn around and leave. However, at this moment, Gu Fei suddenly opened his eyes. "What's the matter?" Gu Fei asked. He was not cultivating in seclusion, and could come out of it at any time. "Those guys from the Heavenly Fire clan are here again." Sun Ke jumped onto the boulder and sat opposite Gu Fei. "With your cultivation, it doesn't matter how many of them come. They're like moths flying into a flame," Gu Fei said indifferently. He knew Sun Ke's cultivation and combat power better. Those guys from the Heavenly Fire clan couldn't do anything to him. Unless that mysterious clan leader of the Heavenly Fire clan came personally. "It's a little troublesome that I can't use my extreme Dao power now," Sun Ke said helplessly. "You want me to help you get rid of those guys outside?" Gu Fei looked at Sun Ke and said indifferently. "That would be the best." Sun Ke smiled. Gu Fei didn't want to do such a strenuous and unrewarding thing. He realized that he had been getting lazy recently and didn't want to move around much. "What's in it for me?" Gu Fei said lazily. "Haha, with our friendship, what benefits do I need?" Sun Ke laughed. "This world is very fair. If you want something, you have to pay something of equal value," Gu Fei said. Sun Ke went silent for a moment before saying, "The Earth Ancestor vein under the ancestral land will always be open to you. How about it?" After saying that, Sun Ke looked at Gu Fei. That was all he could offer. Cultivating in the Earth Ancestor vein would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. "All right. I agree," Gu Fei agreed after some thought. During the battle in Myriad God Ancestral City, the Sword Slave and the 106 Stone Men had suffered a great impact. Their vitality was damaged and they needed a place with abundant spiritual energy to recover. "Great!" Sun Ke laughed. With Gu Fei taking action, those people outside could only wait for their misfortune. Since he had achieved his goal, Sun Ke left after chatting with Gu Fei for a while. Gu Fei was left sitting cross-legged on the big rock. "Sword Slave!" Gu Fei thought for a moment before replying. "Master!" In the next moment, a figure appeared under the boulder. This person was the Sword Slave that left Myriad God Ancestral City with Gu Fei. "Go get rid of those annoying flies outside," Gu Fei said. "Yes, Master!" The Sword Slave accepted the order and disappeared into the void. In the next moment, a figure suddenly walked out of the void outside the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. Then, a door appeared on the barrier formed by the guardian formation of the ancestral land. The Sword Slave took a step out and appeared outside the ancestral land in the next moment. At this time, Peng Jingtian and the Skyfire clan's Grand Elder were still fighting fiercely, blood dripping from the sky. That was the essence blood of a quasi-supremacy. Every drop of it was crystal clear and emitted a blinding divine light. To an alchemist, this essence blood was a great medicine. If an ordinary cultivator could obtain a drop of it, their cultivation would definitely improve greatly. Why is the sword slave here? Pingxi and the Golden Rock Goddess were shocked when they sensed the sword slave's arrival. They knew that the sword slave was one of Gu Fei's men. Could he be a helper invited by the old ancestor? There are so many flies outside. The sword slave glanced at the 100,000 Skyfire warriors in the sky and frowned. He couldn't use his extreme Dao power at this time. It seemed that it wouldn't be easy to get rid of these flies. What? After hearing the sword slave's words, the generals leading the 100,000 soldiers were enraged, but in the end, they suppressed their anger and didn't attack. Peng Jingtian, step back. Let me handle this. The sword slave took a step forward and instantly appeared on the battlefield. An immortal sword light rushed out from his hand and pierced towards the Skyfire clan's Grand Elder. In the next moment, Peng Jingtian retreated. The sword slave and the Skyfire clan's Grand Elder fought fiercely. From time to time, extremely powerful sword lights slashed in all directions. Very quickly, the Skyfire clan's old ancestor was struck by the sword, leaving a bloody mark on his shoulder. A chilling sword chi immediately invaded his body. The Skyfire clan's Grand Elder was shocked. This sword slave's cultivation is so strong. Even Peng Jingtian couldn't help but be moved by the scene. What surprised the Skyfire clan's Grand Elder was that the sword slave had used the divine sword of extreme Dao to injure him. Very quickly, the Skyfire clan's Grand Elder felt that something was wrong. He couldn't dispel the sword chi that invaded his body. How was this possible? The Skyfire clan's Grand Elder could clearly sense that there was a peculiar sword chi fluctuation in his forearm that wanted to surge upwards. Even with his cultivation, he couldn't suppress the sword chi that invaded his arm. The Skyfire clan's Grand Elder felt his battle strength weakening. This was not a good thing for him. Preposterous! The Skyfire clan's Grand Elder was both shocked and furious. He dodged the sword slave's sword over a dozen times, but then his speed really slowed down. Because of this, he was almost cut in half by the sword slave's sword. Heaven punishing sword! The sword slave grew impatient and didn't want to play anymore. He immediately used the 9 heaven punishing swords. Chapter 35-26. The 9 heaven punishing swords was a sword technique created by the sword slave himself. It was a supreme sword principle that entered the Tao through killing. When the killing sword principle was unleashed, the entire world changed color. A murderous aura that could even make a quasi-supremacy's heart palpitate filled the world. 9 immortal sword lights pierced through Great Elder Tianhua's divine body. It was useless even if he was wearing a quasi-supremacy grade divine armor. It couldn't withstand the sword slave's sword lights at all. What? Great Elder Tianhua lowered his head and looked at the 9 bloody holes on his body in disbelief. He could feel the vitality in his body gradually being extinguished. However, with his cultivation, even the sword slave couldn't defeat him in a short period of time. Roar! Great Elder Tianhua roared into the sky. The golden crown that bound his hair exploded. His scarlet hair danced wildly and his face became extremely ferocious. His entire body seemed to be burning. Golden divine fire danced on his body. 9 Dao patterns emerged from his body and forced out the murderous energy that invaded his body. The sword slave looked at Great Elder Tianhua in surprise. The 9 bloody holes on his body were gradually healing. This guy could actually force out his murderous energy. Great Elder! At this time, the generals who commanded the Heavenly Flame battle troops stared at Great Elder Tianhua nervously. If Great Elder Tianhua was defeated, it would be impossible for them to escape unscathed. One should know that the world had changed. They couldn't use the extreme path anymore. Otherwise, the world would descend a terrifying heavenly punishment and blast those who used the extreme path into pieces. Some people in the ancestral god realm didn't believe it and ended up having their bodies and souls destroyed. Is Great Elder going to use the extreme path? He's definitely committing suicide. The generals of the Heavenly Flame battle troops were indescribably shocked. Rumble! The power emanating from Great Elder Tianhua's body grew stronger and stronger. Golden divine fire burned and shot up into the sky, burning the surrounding void to the point of incinerating it. Humph! Are you trying to kill yourself? That saves me the trouble, said the sword slave. The sword slave said. Even he didn't dare to use the power of the extreme Tao, let alone this so-called Great Elder. This fellow's cultivation was only at the peak of the quasi-Jizuan realm. If it weren't for Tian Fa, he would have killed this Great Elder long ago. Why would he waste time with this guy here? It was very troublesome not to use the extreme Tao, but there was nothing he could do about it. The sword slave didn't want to die yet. Kill! At that moment, Great Elder Heavenly Fire's aura had already reached its peak. If he were to take another step forward, he would be able to activate the extreme Tao's power. However, he did not dare to do so. Of course not. Who would want to die? No one wanted to die. As long as they could live, they would never want to die. However, Great Elder Tianhua's strength was at a critical point. If he was not careful, he would exceed the limit. The consequences would naturally be very cruel. Die! The 9 bloody holes on Great Elder Tianhua's body disappeared. His combat prowess had reached its peak. With a loud bellow, he directly attacked the sword slave. Boundless golden flames erupted from Great Elder Tianhua's body, drowning the sword slave in a golden sea of flames. The void that was enveloped by the golden divine flames was silently annihilated. There were many flame-shaped Tao patterns in the divine flames. Those Tao patterns seemed to be constantly changing, sometimes turning into a flaming bird that was about to fly away. Is he a survivor of the Golden Crow? Ping Jingtian, who was watching the battle from afar, couldn't help but feel surprised. The Tao patterns in the divine flames that erupted from Great Elder Tianhua's body were truly astonishing. The Tao patterns turned into golden birds, which were somewhat similar to the Tao patterns of the Golden Rock clan. However, the Golden Rock clan didn't cultivate the divine power of fire, but the divine power of metal. Since he is a survivor of the Golden Crow, we can't let him go. Should we go and ask the Great Ancestor? Ping Shi asked his father. There's no need to alarm the Great Ancestor. Ping Jingtian shook his head. There were Tao patterns intertwining in his eyes. He was using his Tao eye to observe the battle. In the golden sea of flames, 2 figures were moving rapidly and constantly colliding. Every time they collided, the entire golden sea of flames would shake violently. The sword slave used to be a sword sovereign, and he cultivated the killing sword principle. He entered the Tao by killing. Even without using the extreme path's power, he could easily kill a peak-stage quasi-supreme expert. Clang! Sword light flashed. In the golden sea of flames, the sword slave seemed to have turned into a peerless killing sword, forcing Great Elder Tianhua to continuously retreat. Every time he slashed, Great Elder Tianhua would be sent flying. How can he be so strong? Great Elder Tianhua was inexplicably shocked. He thought that he was almost invincible. Because he couldn't use the extreme path's power, his peak-stage quasi-supreme cultivation was definitely the strongest combat strength he had today. However, at this moment, Great Elder Tianhua realized how foolish he was. Even without using the extreme path's power, these former supremes were still stronger than them. This was an indisputable fact. Haha, is this all you've got? The sword slave laughed. The power of the 9 heaven-punishing swords was absolutely terrifying in his hands. The killing power that erupted from each sword was enough to make Great Elder Tianhua suffer. Great Elder Tianhua didn't say anything. Alright, then I'll send you on your way. The sword slave didn't want to play anymore. In the next moment, the sword Tao's power that erupted from his body suddenly soared. However, this surge of power didn't exceed the limit. It was also at a critical point. Swoosh! With a flash of sword light, one of Great Elder Tianhua's arms flew up, directly separated from his body. The arm that flew in the air instantly turned into ashes. Swoosh! With another flash of sword light, one of Great Elder Tianhua's legs fell from his body. There was no bloody scene of flesh and blood splattering. In the next moment, the leg also turned into ashes. Roar! Great Elder Tianhua roared madly, but in the next moment, his head flew up as well. His divine body turned into ashes, and a tattered divine armor fell from the sky. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust! The sword slave swung his sword, and Great Elder Tianhua's head also turned into ashes. Both his body and soul were destroyed. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. No one thought that Great Elder Tianhua would be defeated so quickly. That person was too powerful and terrifying. He actually killed Great Elder Tianhua so easily. The commotion caused by this battle was so great that all the experts in the eastern continent could sense the earth-shattering aura that erupted outside the primal Kaith's golden rock race's ancestral land. The power of the sword slave and Great Elder Tianhua shook the heaven and earth, stirring up the heaven and earth's origin energy. The powerful cultivators could naturally sense this kind of disturbance. At this time, the sword slave swung his sword again. The towering golden divine fire was immediately dispersed by the sword chi, vanishing from the world. Only one aura was left in the world, and that was the murderous aura of the sword Tao. Who is this person? The other experts in the eastern continent didn't recognize the sword slave. One should know that the experts from the ancestral god world who were fighting for the divine treasure in myriad deity ancestral city had yet to return. That person is too strong. Where did the primal Kaith's golden rock race find such an expert? Someone said. No one could tell where the sword slave came from. After the sword slave killed Great Elder Tianhua, he turned and walked into the primal chaos golden rock race's ancestral land. It was obvious that he wasn't going to take action anymore. All right, we'll deal with the rest of these fellows, Peng Jingtian said to his son and granddaughter behind him. Yes, Peng Shi and Goddess Golden Rock quickly replied. In the next moment, Peng Jingtian's figure disappeared from the void and reappeared above the 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops. Boom! Peng Jingtian made his move. The world shook violently. Then, a primal Kaith's golden rock appeared and swooped down at the battle formation below. The pounce of the chaotic golden rock, which was as large as a mountain, could be considered earth-shattering. However, just as the chaotic golden rock was about to pounce onto the battle formation, a layer of flames surged from within the formation and enveloped it. Boom! With a loud bang, the primal chaos golden rock crashed into the layer of fire that enveloped the entire battle formation. The power of a quasi-supreme erupted. In the next moment, the entire battle formation was shaken. Many of the battle soldiers in the battle formation were directly turned into a mist of blood, their bodies and souls destroyed just like that. Peng Jingtian's attack had killed hundreds of heavenly flame battle troops and injured thousands of them. Nearly half of the thousands of heavenly flame battle troops had lost their ability to fight. Of course, these thousands of heavenly flame battle troops were nothing compared to the 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops. But even so, Peng Jingtian's attack was enough to shock the generals. Great Elder Tianhua was dead, and they only wanted to retreat. Retreat! 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 Deafening roars came from the 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops. The powerful generals ordered their subordinates to retreat. The 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops did not panic. They retreated in unison. The combined power of 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops could not be underestimated. At this time, Peng Shi and the Golden Rock Goddess made their move. The three of them forced the 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops to retreat. It was a shocking scene. Even the experts from the ancestral god realm who were watching the battle from afar were dumbfounded. As the three of them made their move, the sword slave had returned to the depths of the ancestral god realm to report to Gu Fei. Master! The sword slave bowed to Gu Fei under the boulder. Well done! Bring your stone golems to the ancestral earth vein to cultivate, Gu Fei said as he opened his eyes and looked at the sword slave. The sword servant was overjoyed when he heard this, and he hurriedly bowed and thanked Qin Shi. After that, he left impatiently to look for his 106 stone figures. He had wanted to enter the ancestral Earth meridian to cultivate for a long time. However, this was the territory of the chaotic golden rock race. If he wanted to enter the ancestral Earth meridian to cultivate, he would need the permission of the chaotic golden rock race's primogenitor, Sun Quebec. Chapter 35:27. The sword slave had killed Elder Tianhua and scared away the 100,000 Skyfire fighters. However, it was impossible for the 100,000 Skyfire fighters to escape unscathed. Next, it was Peng Jingtian's turn to attack. Haha, since you're here, why don't you all stay here? Peng Shi was extremely domineering. He laughed crazily and directly attacked the killing formation formed by the 100,000 Skyfire fighters. Rays of terrifying golden sword light rushed out of his body and turned into a shocking sword rainbow that fell on the battle formation formed by the 100,000 Skyfire fighters. Roar! The countless Skyfire fighters roared at the same time. Their voices shook the heavens and earth. A power that surpassed the limits of the killing formation surged out and blocked Peng Shi's sword light. Peng Shi laughed and landed on the battle formation. Kill! The 100,000 Skyfire fighters roared and stabbed their spears at Peng Shi. The power of countless Skyfire fighters instantly gathered and turned into a huge spear shadow that pierced Peng Shi's chest. No matter how many ants there are, they are still ants. Peng Shi slapped forward with his palm. Boom! Peng Shi's palm energy collided with the power of the battle formation. Peng Shi felt a huge force coming from his fist, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. Huh! Peng Shi was shocked. This battle formation was different. The power it gathered was so strong that it could resist his power. At this time, the golden rock goddess also made her move. In the sky, a golden light suddenly appeared, and within the golden light, a golden pin could be seen. The golden rock goddess used her ultimate move. In the next moment, an overwhelming golden light fell from the sky and bombarded the layer of fire formed by the battle formation of the Skyfire fighters. The entire battle formation shook violently. Countless Tao patterns emerged and intertwined on the layer of fire, turning into Tao diagrams. The power of the 100,000 Skyfire fighters was constantly gathered by the Tao diagrams. Amidst the flames, terrifying silhouettes appeared one after another. They were generals riding on war beasts. Every war beast was extremely powerful, and the generals riding on them were even more terrifying. The war beasts and generals were not real existences. They were merely projections formed by the power of the battle formation. However, even though they were projections, they were still extremely powerful. The aura that erupted from their bodies was close to that of a sovereign realm cultivator. Of course, this was not the true divine might of the extreme Tao. Once the aura of the extreme Tao appeared, the world would send down a terrifying heavenly punishment. Even supreme beings would be destroyed in body and soul under the heavenly punishment. The 100,000 Skyfire warriors that Grand Elder Skyfire had brought with him were all elites of the Skyfire clan. The 10,000 new warriors from before could not be compared to them. A total of 10 generals emerged from the formation. Their murderous auras soared into the sky, as if 10 gods of death had appeared in the world. Boundless divine fire erupted from the bodies of the 10 great generals who were riding on battle beasts. It burned the sky to the point where even the void was distorting and being destroyed. It was incomparably terrifying. At that moment, the ball of golden light in the sky descended like a divine sun. The power of the primal golden rock was so vast that it seemed as if the sky would collapse. That was the golden rock goddess unleashing her ultimate move. The 10 generals formed by the 100,000 Skyfire warriors moved at the same time. 5 of them soared into the sky on their war beasts and attacked the golden rock goddess. As for the other 5 generals, 3 of them went for Peng Jingtian, while the other 2 went for Peng Shi. Humph! You're looking down on me? Peng Shi laughed. The 2 generals instantly arrived in front of him. The 2 war beasts were the first to attack, stomping their front hooves on Peng Shi. Scram! Peng Shi displayed his might. The image of a huge primal golden rock rushed out of his body. The golden rock spread its wings like 2 heavenly blades, sending the war beasts and the generals riding them flying. What? The generals couldn't help but pale at the sight of this. The battle prowess displayed by the enemy was too great. How was this possible? After sending 2 generals flying with a single move, Ping Shi looked down on the war beasts even more. Ping Jingtian, on the other hand, was engaged in a fierce battle with the 3 great generals. These 3 generals were extremely powerful, and each of them was strong enough to contend with a peak quasi-supreme expert. The 3 generals joined hands to fight against Ping Jingtian. Even a powerhouse like Ping Jingtian had to be careful and not be careless. At this time, the 5 generals simultaneously attacked the Golden Rock Goddess, who was falling from the sky. Boom! Towering divine flames shot up like 100,000 volcanoes erupting at the same time. The 5 fire elemental powers converged into one and instantly collided with the golden light. Rumble! The entire sky exploded, and golden divine light exploded, illuminating the entire world in a golden color. The power of the metal element shook the heavens and the earth. This was the Golden Rock Goddess' current cultivation and battle prowess. After a period of seclusion, her cultivation and battle prowess had reached the quasi-supreme level. Of course, it was impossible for a quasi-supreme to fight against 5 fire elemental generals alone. The Golden Rock Goddess was wearing a treasure of the Chaos Golden Rock clan, the Chaos Golden Rock armor. With the protection of this divine artifact, the Golden Rock Goddess was able to fight against the 5 generals alone. When the metal element divine power and fire element divine power clashed, the Golden Rock Goddess was sent flying into the sky. Her golden hair fluttered and her body was surrounded by golden radiance. A shadow of a golden rock could be vaguely seen on her body. The 5 generals were also pushed back by the Golden Rock Goddess. In the battle formation below, the 10 generals coughed up blood at the same time. They had suffered a great impact. The 10 generals condensed by the power of the battle formation actually had a close connection with the 10 real generals in the battle formation. Their auras were connected, and they were the 10 battle souls condensed by the essence, chi, and spirit of the 10 generals in the battle formation. The fire elemental battle soul's battle prowess was enhanced by the power of the battle formation, and it was enough to fight against quasi-supreme existences. Kill! In the battle formation, the 10 generals roared at the same time. At the same time, the 10 fire elemental battle souls also roared and attacked Ping Jingtian and his grandson. In particular, the 5 fire elemental battle souls wanted to kill the Golden Rock Goddess, the weakest of the 3 Chaos Golden Rocks. However, they had kicked an iron plate. The Golden Rock Goddess, who was wearing the chaotic Golden Rock battle armor, displayed a battle prowess that was absolutely heaven-defying. Streaks of golden Tao patterns circled around her, turning into small golden birds. The Golden Rock Goddess was like an empress among the birds, displaying the demeanor of an empress. There was nothing much to say. The Sky Fire clan and the Chaos Golden Rock clan had become mortal enemies, and the other party had come to kill them again and again. The 10 fire elemental battle souls were fighting against the 3 experts of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. For a moment, no one could really suppress the other. The sky was dark, and the earth was dark. This level of battle strength was infinitely close to the extreme grade realm, but no one dared to take half a step forward. Once they crossed the line, their bodies and souls would be destroyed. Just as Ping Jingtian and the others were fighting against the 10 fire elemental battle souls, the clansmen of the Chaos Golden Rock clan were watching the battle anxiously in the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. However, the place where Gu Fei cultivated was very calm. In Gu Fei's opinion, the great elder of the Sky Fire clan was killed by the Sword Slave. He knew the strength of the Sword Slave, and the great elder of the Sky Fire clan was no match for the Sword Slave. Is it still not done? Gu Fei sat cross-legged on a big rock. He was a little surprised. Even the great elder of the Sky Fire clan was killed by the Sword Slave. Why hadn't Ping Jingtian and the others dealt with the people outside? In the next moment, Gu Fei's divine sense enveloped the entire ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock clan and the area outside. When he sensed a battle outside the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock clan, he was a little shocked. These 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops were definitely the elites of the Sky Fire clan. Only a battle formation formed by soldiers that had gone through hundreds of battles could have such great power. These 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops were definitely existences that had survived hundreds of battles. Every single one of them exuded a strong killing intent. As expected of one of the three superpowers of the central continent. Their foundation is indeed terrifying. Gu Fei couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. The killing formation formed by 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops was really powerful. If it wasn't for the changes in the world, this killing formation might have displayed the power of the extreme Tao realm. He had a certain understanding of the Tao of array formations. Although he wasn't an array formation grandmaster, he wasn't far from it. The profundity of this killing formation wasn't difficult to understand. It could perfectly integrate the power of 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops. It wasn't as simple as 1 + 1. This battle formation could increase the power of the 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops. It was no wonder that these 100,000 heavenly flame battle troops were able to fight a peak quasi-supreme existence endlessly, and retreat unscathed. This kind of battle formation could be used as a reference. Gu Fei wanted to create an invincible warrior, because in the upcoming chaotic world, having a warrior that could fight for him would save him a lot of trouble. It should be noted that Gu Fei wouldn't do everything by himself. Otherwise, why would he have established so many forces? Gu Fei carefully observed the battle formation with his divine sense. Although the battle formation was very complicated, he first memorized the formation patterns and various changes of this killing formation. He would study it when he had free time in the future. At this time, all the people that Gu Fei had brought with him entered the Earth Ancestor vein to cultivate, including the Four Supremes. Gu Fei thought for a moment, and then summoned a blurry figure from his inner world. It was a demonic figure with an ape vaguely visible in the void amidst the demonic aura. This ape was none other than the Chaos Demon Ape whose body had been destroyed. "Greetings, Master!" The Chaos Demonic Ape was only left with a spirit. He was originally cultivating in Gu Fei's inner world, but he was suddenly summoned by Gu Fei. "The depths of the earth are where the Earth Ancestor vein converges. It's the source of the entire East Continent's Earth vein. You should go and have a look. Perhaps you'll find some unexpected gains," Gu Fei said indifferently as he looked at the Chaos Demonic Ape's spirit. "Yes, Master." "Thank you, Master." The Chaos Demonic Ape's spirit was overjoyed. It turned into a beam of demonic light and shot into the sky, disappearing into the depths of the Ancestors' land in an instant. Chapter 35-28. Ancestral God Realm, East Continent. Outside the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan, Ping Jingtian and his grandson fought with all their might, forcing the 10 Heavenly Fire fighting souls to retreat. The 10 generals in the Heavenly Fire battle formation were also under great impact, coughing up blood. Although the battle formation of 100,000 Heavenly Fire fighting souls was operating at full strength, it was still not enough. Ping Jingtian and his grandson's battle strength was too heaven-defying. Especially Ping Jingtian, he used a power that was infinitely close to the extreme grade realm to shake the entire Heavenly Fire battle formation. However, just as the Heavenly Fire battle formation was about to collapse, a figure descended from the sky and landed in the battle formation. An extremely powerful force of Heavenly Fire erupted from the figure and strengthened the Heavenly Fire battle formation. In the next moment, the entire Heavenly Fire battle formation, which was on the verge of collapse, gradually stabilized. Boom! With a loud bang, Ping Jingtian took out a divine weapon. It was a huge seal, called the Golden Rock Seal. The huge seal directly bombarded the battle formation of 100,000 Heavenly Fire fighting souls. Rumble! The entire battle formation started to shake again. Countless runes appeared and blocked the huge seal. Seeing this, Ping Jingtian could not help but be shocked. It seemed that the person who entered the battle formation was very strong. Otherwise, how could he have stabilized the Heavenly Fire battle formation so quickly? In the next moment, endless divine fire gathered, and an even more powerful fiery fighting soul appeared in the battle formation. Terrifying waves of fiery elemental power erupted from the fiery fighting soul. Ping Jingtian was shocked to see this. This fiery fighting soul was far more powerful than the 10 fiery fighting souls. Roar! The fiery fighting soul roared and rushed out of the battle formation. It directly rushed toward Ping Jingtian and appeared in front of him in an instant. What? Ping Jingtian did not have time to think. A chaotic golden rock shadow rushed out of his body and collided with the fire-type fighting soul that was rushing towards him. Boom! With a loud bang, two forces that were infinitely close to the extreme Tao level instantly erupted. The image of the chaotic golden rock that rushed out of Ping Jingtian's body disappeared into the void, and the golden Tao patterns dissipated. The fire-fighting soul was also pushed back by Ping Jingtian's strength. All right. An old voice came from the formation of 100,000 Skyfire battle soldiers. At this time, the 100,000 Skyfire battle soldiers were gradually retreating into the distance. You want to leave? Ping Jingtian, Ping Jingtian, Ping Jingtian, and Ping Jingtian did not agree. The three of them attacked with all their might, trying to destroy the fire-based fighting soul. However, the fighting soul's combat strength was so strong that it could fight with the three of them. At this time, the other 10 fire element fighting souls also wanted to attack, but they did not. Because they knew that if they rashly went forward to help without that person's permission, it would instead cause that person to be unhappy, and that wouldn't be good. At this time, Ping Jingtian and the others joined hands to fight against the illusory figure. For a while, no one could really suppress the other, and no one could break the stalemate. The clan leader of the Skyfire tribe has come in person? At this moment, a man opened up the cave's golden rock race's defensive array and walked out of it. Ancestor? When they saw this person, Ping Jingtian and the others were shocked, because this person was their ancestor, the ancestor of the chaotic golden rock tribe, Sun Quebec. This killing formation is not bad, Sun Ke said as he walked forward. Why, are you going to fight? An old voice came from the opposite battle formation. Since you are here, how can I not fight? Sun Ke said indifferently. Then let's play, Sun Ke said, and then he took a step forward and instantly landed in the sky above the Skyfire battle formation. He came to the opposite side of the fire-based fighting soul and sized it up. Kill! The fighting soul roared angrily and stabbed its spear towards Sun Quebec. Sun Ke just waved his hand, and the spear in the hand of the fighting soul was directly shattered by the impact and disappeared in the hands of the fighting soul. Sun Ke quickly found that the spear of the fire-based fighting soul had once again appeared in his hand. Without any hesitation, Sun Ke directly used his ultimate move. Countless sword lights burst out from his body and pierced through the fighting soul in an overwhelming manner. In the next moment, there was a continuous series of collision sounds. In that instant, the figure did not know how many sword lights had been slashed, but all the sword lights were blocked by a layer of flame. Good fella! Sun Ke's figure disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already behind the fire-based fighting soul, and then he slapped it with his palm. The fire-based fighting soul was not weak. The moment it sensed Sun Ke's position, it immediately leaped into the air and dodged the attack of the fire-based fighting soul. In the next moment, Sun Ke directly attacked the fire-based fighting soul. Like a huge mountain, it pressed down on the fire-based fighting soul below. The powerful energy waves shook the earth, and it was extremely terrifying. Bam! With a muffled sound, the fire-based fighting soul directly fell from the sky. Boom! With a loud sound, it hit the ground and created a huge pit. Dust flew everywhere, and a cloud of smoke spread out in all directions. All right, let's end this. Sun Ke's voice reverberated in the air. Then, a chaotic golden rock directly swooped down from the sky and tore the fire-based fighting soul that had just climbed out of the pit into pieces. In the heavenly fire battle formation, an old man opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression also became weary, as if he had suddenly aged 10 years. Ha ha! The old man in the battle formation laughed bitterly. Although his fire-based fighting soul had been destroyed by Tsung Kei's chaotic golden rock and he had suffered a great impact, his cultivation was still extremely strong. "You have been beaten silly by me. How can you still laugh at this time?" The huge chaotic golden rock disappeared, and Tsung Kei's figure appeared again. "Tsung Kei, the next time we meet, I will not rest until one of us is dead." The old man in the heavenly fire battle formation stared viciously at Tsung Kei outside the formation. "Haha, do you think you can still leave?" Tsung Kei laughed. "This guy is still thinking of fighting me next time. This guy won't have a next time. I can't let him leave with 100,000 heavenly fire battle soldiers." In the next moment, the entire heavenly fire battle formation shook violently. Then, the void around the battle formation collapsed, and the entire battle formation rushed into the chaos. "Damn it!" Tsung Kei was shocked and angry at the sight. He never expected that guy to escape into the chaos with 100,000 heavenly fire battle soldiers. It was known that it was difficult to survive in the chaos. Once lost in the chaos, even a powerful quasi-supreme would be trapped and die. Tsung Kei didn't chase into the chaos because he knew that even if he did, he wouldn't be able to stop that guy and the 100,000 heavenly fire battle soldiers. A great battle that shocked the entire East continent had finally come to an end. At this moment, everyone was in disbelief. The Chaos Golden Rock clan only sent out 4 people, but Tsung Kei and the others managed to drive away 100,000 elites of the Heavenly Fire clan with just the 4 of them. "The Heavenly Fire clan has suffered a great loss again," someone sighed. "Humph! Serves them right for invading the East continent again and again," someone disagreed. To the native forces of the East continent, the Heavenly Fire clan was an invader that wanted to conquer the entire East continent. However, this behavior was too crazy. Of course, if it wasn't for Gu Fei, the entire East continent would have been conquered by the army of the Heavenly Fire clan. Sigh! Tsung Kei stood in the void and looked at the shattered void in front of him. He was displeased, but there was nothing he could do. At this time, the entire East continent was still under the control of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. No one dared to challenge their position as the overlord. The other continents might have already been conquered by the Heavenly Fire clan or the Pang clan. Both the Pang clan and the Heavenly Fire clan wanted to unify the entire ancestral god realm, so they naturally had to get rid of everyone who opposed them. Being merciful to one's enemy was being cruel to oneself. This was an unchanging truth throughout the ages. After Tsung Kei drove away 100,000 Heavenly Fire warriors, the entire East continent gradually calmed down. However, although it seemed peaceful on the surface, there were many undercurrents surging in the dark. Some forces of the East continent still hadn't made up their minds to attach themselves to Gu Fei. Gu Fei naturally wouldn't beg this fellow to attach himself to him. He had his own principles, and it wasn't something that could be easily changed. At this time, the experts of the ancestral god realm who went to the graveyard of myriad gods began to return. What happened in the graveyard of myriad gods spread like wildfire, shocking everyone. No one expected that the myriad gods' ancestral city, which had disappeared for countless years, would appear in the depths of the graveyard of myriad gods. However, countless experts of the ancestral god realm couldn't find the legendary number 1 divine weapon of the ancestral god realm, the myriad gods' ancestral sword. No one knew where the myriad gods' ancestral sword was, and even more so, no one knew who had obtained it. Those who knew that the myriad gods' ancestral sword was taken by Gu Fei wouldn't easily spread the news, and the East Pole Old Man wouldn't spread it either. But this time, the number of experts from the ancestral god realm that perished in the graveyard of myriad gods was not small, and there were even quasi-supreme beings that perished inside. This caused the great sects and clans to suffer heavy losses, and their vitality was greatly damaged. Even the experts of the Heavenly Fire clan and the Pang clan had fallen inside. However, the 2 superpowers wouldn't suffer great losses even if they lost 1 or 2 quasi-supremes. Chapter 35-29. An unknown variable occurred in the myriad god graveyard. figures of undying existences began to appear in the 5 continents of the ancestral god realm. As the figures that had fallen for countless years reappeared in the 5 great continents of the ancestral god realm, many people were shocked. One must know that these existences that could be buried in the graveyard of myriad gods were once peerless experts of the ancestral god realm. Even though these existences had fallen for countless years, there were still people in the ancestral god realm who remembered their names. Divine King Li Bai! Someone saw a divine king who had fallen 10,000 years ago appear in a ruin in the western continent. That used to be the ancestral land of the Li clan, but now it had become a ruin. The Li clan, where Li Bai was from, used to be the most powerful cultivation clan in the western continent. However, 10,000 years ago, this clan disappeared overnight. No one knew where they went. The Li clan's ancestral land became a place where experts from all over fought. Even some old antiques took action. In the final battle, someone even used the power of the extreme Tao. As a result, the Li clan's ancestral land was destroyed and turned into a wasteland. Even the veins deep underground were destroyed. But now, 10,000 years later, the supposedly dead divine King Li Bai had reappeared. How could people not be shocked? It wasn't just Li Bai. In the ancestral god realm's northern continent, someone encountered divine Lord Yijinbei in a destroyed mountain range. Yijinbei was an ambitious and ruthless person 5,000 years ago. He started from scratch and established the divine palace of the northern continent with his own strength. The entire northern continent was his world. However, Yijinbei mysteriously disappeared. Some people said that he entered the myriad god graveyard and never came out again. Following his disappearance, the northern continent immediately fell into chaos. The divine palace of the northern continent was also divided into several major factions. No one was willing to submit to the other, so they all started their own businesses. The divine palace of the northern continent then became a thing of the past. Yijinbei had 4 godly monarchs under him. These 4 godly monarchs each established their own forces. 2 of the godly monarchs' forces gradually declined and were swallowed by the other 2 forces. The current northern continent had already been split into 2 camps. These 2 camps were established by the 2 god kings under Yijinbei. Some people said that the 2 god kings were still alive, but they had not been involved in the affairs of the world for many years. But now, all the signs indicated that the divine master of the northern divine manor, Yijinbei, who had disappeared for 5,000 years, had actually returned. This caused a huge uproar in the entire northern continent, especially the upper echelons of the 2 great forces in the northern continent. They were even more restless, afraid that Yijinbei would come knocking on their door. Compared to the western continent and the northern continent, the southern continent was much more peaceful. As for the eastern continent, ancient beings who had disappeared for tens of thousands of years had reappeared. All of them pulsed with an aura of death that couldn't be concealed. Wherever they went, life force was severed, vegetation withered, and the life force in the area was plundered. The ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race was relatively peaceful. After all, they had just fought with the heavenly fire race. Who would dare to provoke the chaotic golden rock race at this time? However, on a dark and windy night, a figure silently appeared outside the ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race. The moment the figure appeared, the flowers, grass, and trees around it withered instantly. All the life force in the surroundings was plundered by this figure. A black gas shrouded the blurry figure like a ghost. Within the black gas, 2 spots of blood light could be vaguely seen. "Who's outside?" Suddenly, a loud roar came from the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock race. Then, a figure walked out from the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock race. It was a middle-aged man who hadn't left the range of the ancestral land's protective formation. The mysterious figure disappeared into the void without a sound, as if it had never appeared in the first place. "What's going on?" The middle-aged man was bewildered. He seemed to have sensed that something was spying on them from outside the ancestral land. However, when he approached, he didn't see anything, nor did he sense any strange aura. The middle-aged man pondered for a moment, then turned around and left. The entire ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race was enveloped by the protective formation. Who could enter the ancestral land without a sound? It was impossible. There were experts of the chaotic golden rock race patrolling the periphery of the ancestral land. Although the east continent seemed calm on the surface, there were treacherous waves in the dark. The Earth Spirit Clan, one of the 4 great clans of the east continent, had already submitted to the chaotic golden rock race, but the other 2 clans were still observing. Those fellows from the deity race and the mysterious snake race were extremely shrewd. They wouldn't easily submit to anyone or any power unless they had no other choice. Less than an hour after the mysterious figure outside the ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race disappeared, countless black formation patterns appeared in the sky above the ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race without any warning. These formation patterns interweaved rapidly, and soon enveloped half the sky, enveloping the entire ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race. What's going on? In the depths of the ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race, Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on a large rock, suddenly opened his eyes and looked up. He was shocked to find that the stars that filled the sky had disappeared. Swoosh! 2 rays of primal chaos light rushed out of Gu Fei's eyes. His gaze pierced through the protective formation of the chaotic golden rock race and saw the shocking scene in the sky. A huge formation, a black formation, had enveloped the entire ancestral land of the chaotic golden rock race. This shocked Gu Fei. The person who had set up such a superformation in such a short time was really powerful. The person who did this was most likely a formation master. Gu Fei also knew a formation master. That person was He Tian. Gu Fei knew how powerful a formation master was. The person who set up such a killing formation was definitely not He Tian. He Tian couldn't be in the ancestral god realm. Soon, Gu Fei found out who the owner of the killing formation was. He saw a figure descend from the sky and land on the killing formation. He immediately sat cross-legged in the eye of the formation. This is... Gu Fei could feel the heart-palpitating aura of death coming from that person. Could it be a dead spirit from the graveyard of 10,000 gods? Gu Fei muttered to himself. At this moment, a figure walked over from afar and stopped under the large rock where Gu Fei was sitting. This person was the chaotic golden rock race's primogenitor, Sun Quebec. What's going on? Gu Fei glanced at Sun Ke under the big rock and said indifferently. Sun Ke jumped onto the boulder and sat cross-legged opposite Gu Fei. Maybe that person has returned. Chapter 35:30. A killing formation suddenly appeared high up in the sky and enveloped the entire protective formation protecting the ancestors' land. Perhaps because of the protective formation, Sun Ke was the only one in the Golden Rock ancestral grounds who knew what was happening in the sky. Rumble! At this moment, an extremely powerful aura of death descended from the sky. At this moment, the entire ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock race began to boil. This is... When everyone discovered the mysterious figure high up in the sky, they were all indescribably shocked. A layer of black light appeared between the heavens and the earth, enveloping the entire chaotic Golden Rock race's ancestral land and its protective formation. An incomparably powerful aura of death erupted from the mysterious figure sitting cross-legged in the eye of the killing formation. What happened? In the Primal Kate's Golden Rock race's ancestral land, the alarmed people all cried out in alarm. At this time, Peng Jingtian appeared. He directly flew up to the sky, opened the Guardian formation, and rushed out. Just as he rushed out, a strong figure came from afar and directly faced Peng Jingtian. It was a dead spirit, covered in death aura. Roar! The dead spirit roared and pounced at Peng Jingtian. Scram! Peng Jingtian roared and kicked out, sending the dead spirit flying. Just as Peng Jingtian kicked one of the undead spirits away, more undead spirits appeared from all directions. The surrounding void was filled with an aura of death that made one's heart palpitate. Whoosh! Peng Jingtian opened his mouth and spat out a Dao tool. It was a small bronze bell. When he shook the bell, a transparent ripple spread out from the bell. The dead spirits that were pouncing at Ping Jingtian were immediately blown away by the sound wave. One of them even exploded in the air. Fog began to rise from all directions. It was a kind of black fog. Clearly, this was a transformation of this super-killing formation. Wherever the deathly fog shrouded, all life would be completely cut off. Ping Jingtian was shocked to see this. He quickly retreated, not wanting to let the death aura get close to him. Clang! As the melodious bell rang out, the invisible killing power of the sound spread out. The dead spirits hidden in the mist immediately suffered a great impact. Ping Shi and the Golden Rock Goddess walked out of the ancestral grounds and stood behind Ping Jingtian. "Father, what's going on?" Ping Shi carefully looked at the churning deathly mist around him and said, "I don't know. Be careful, I have a bad feeling about this." Ping Jingtian suddenly looked up into the sky. At this moment, streaks of black light descended from the sky and fell directly on the ancestral land's protective formation below. The next moment, a series of roars sounded. Beams of black light bombarded the layer of divine light formed by the protective formation of the ancestral land. The entire divine light shield shook violently. Golden Tao patterns appeared and intertwined on the divine light shield, forming a mysterious array diagram. The power of the two great formations finally clashed. At this moment, in the depths of the ancestral grounds of the Golden Rock race, Song Ke, who was sitting across from Gu Fei, suddenly stood up. He took a step forward and disappeared from the rock. The next time he appeared, he was already in the protective formation of the ancestral land's protective formation. Without any hesitation, Song Ke took control of the entire protective formation. The next moment, an endless amount of golden rock power erupted. A shocking scene appeared. On the protective formation of the ancestral land of the Golden Rock race, an endless amount of chaotic golden rock power condensed crazily. Many golden birds appeared in the formation and soared into the sky, setting off a monstrous golden radiance that dispersed the deathly aura descending from the sky. Boom! A golden bird collided with the death formation and exploded immediately. An extremely powerful chaotic golden rock's power erupted. This power was so strong that it shook the protective formation of death. Then, countless golden birds crashed into the killing formation in the sky. The endless deathly aura was dispersed, and the black formation runes vibrated continuously. The unimaginably powerful chaotic golden rock power shook the black protective formation of death. Within the protective formation of death, the runes were constantly disappearing. However, although the runes of the protective formation of death were disappearing, the runes reappeared in the next moment. Song Ke used the power of the protective formation to launch an extremely shocking attack, but it could not break through the seal of the protective formation of death. "Where is Song Ke? Come out and die!" In the ancestral land of the Golden Rock race, countless people of the Golden Rock race stared at the scene in the sky in shock. Suddenly, a voice came from the sky. "Is it really him?" When Song Ke heard this voice, he could not help but be taken aback. His expression turned ugly. "Who's behaving atrociously?" Ping Jingtian was furious when he heard this voice. "Humph!" A cold laugh came from the sky. Then, a pitch-black hand came from the sky and slapped down on Ping Jingtian. Rumble! The black hand was even larger than a mountain. The space below the hand was shaking violently, and a heart-palpitating wave of death energy spread out from the hand. "Die!" Ping Jingtian roared. His white hair danced wildly in the wind. He glared angrily and slapped up with all his might. A dazzling golden light exploded from his palm. This was the power of the chaotic golden rock. In the golden light, a golden hand shot up to the sky. Boom! With a loud bang, the two hands collided. The next moment, the golden hand that Ping Jingtian had sent out shattered in the void. The black hand smashed down on Ping Jingtian with ease. Damn it! Ping Jingtian wanted to dodge, but the power of death that descended from the sky locked the space around him. Boom! With a loud bang, Ping Jingtian was slapped down from the sky by the black hand. Father! Grandfather! Ping Shi and the Golden Rock Goddess were shocked to see this. Clang! At this moment, A sword chime rang out, and an immortal sword light slashed out from the side, directly destroying the black hand. The black hand dissipated, and a large bronze bell appeared before everyone's eyes. The bell was covered in cracks. Chapter 35-31. The black hand slammed Ping Jingtian down from the sky. If Ping Jingtian did not have the bronze bell to protect himself, he would have been smashed into a bloody mist. At that moment, the bronze bell shattered and Ping Jingtian walked out from within. Exchanging a Dao item for his life was definitely worth it. Ping Jingtian would do the same thing even if he had to do it all over again. Even if the Dao item was gone, he could still refine it and get a better one. However, if he died, everything would be over. Who are you? At that moment, Song Ke soared into the sky and stared at the mysterious black figure through the ancestral ground's protective array. Don't you know who I am? Ha ha! A wave of divine will spread out from the black figure, and a voice rang in Song Ke's mind. This black figure was not the mysterious person's real body. The mysterious person's real body was in the black killing array. This figure was a phantom formed by the death chi. Humph! Song Ke's face turned gloomy. What do you want? Song Ke stared at the black figure and said in a deep voice. I want to kill you, the black figure said. The divine sense fluctuations from the black silhouette's body were not specifically aimed at Sang Quebec. The other cultivators could sense the divine sense fluctuations as well. Seeing that, the Chaos Golden Rocks within the Chaos Golden Rocks ancestral grounds grew, inexplicably shocked. How could that guy say something like that? Someone was shocked and angry. Song Ke is in trouble. Gu Fei, who was sitting on a boulder in the depths of the chaotic Golden Rock Race's ancestral ground, muttered to himself. The being in the sky was extremely powerful and could definitely fight against Sang Quebec. Most importantly, the ancestral god realm had changed and could no longer use the power of the extreme Tao. This way, Song Ke would not have any advantage. The other party might have been in extreme Tao supremacy like him, but had fallen from the extreme Tao realm. Gu Fei did not plan to attack. You want to kill me? Ha ha! At that moment, Song Ke burst into laughter. This guy actually wanted to kill him. What a joke. In the past, this guy was just a follower of his. Kill! The black shadow disappeared, and a shocking killing intent surged out from the killing array that was formed from interweaving black runes. Heaven and earth immediately changed color. Rumble! The entire killing formation came crashing down from the sky, and an extremely terrifying power rippled out from within the killing formation. Very well, then let's see who will destroy who, Song Ke said while clenching his teeth. Then, the protective formation of the entire ancestral ground was activated. A terrifying wave of energy exploded from his body. With just a thought, Song Ke activated the protective array's power. Swoosh! He directly passed through the layer of divine light formed by the power of the protective formation and directly killed his way into the super-killing formation that was suppressing him. Countless black runes were continuously collapsing. In the next moment, the power of the chaotic golden rock erupted from Song Ke's body. A golden rock that was even larger than a mountain appeared in the killing formation that was filled with a surging deathly aura. The boundless deathly aura was dispelled, and the chaotic golden rock slammed into the killing array. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire killing formation shook. Everyone was stupefied when they saw this scene. This Song Ke is too ferocious. He actually collided head-on with the killing formation and even shook it. Haha, good, Song Ke is indeed the same Song Ke from back then. In the eye of the killing formation, the mysterious being said loudly. This time, it was not a wave of consciousness, but the mysterious being who was talking to Tsang Quebec. Boom! With another loud bang, the chaotic golden rock that Song Ke had transformed into crashed into the killing formation again. The terrifying power of the chaotic golden rock spread out, dispelling the boundless deathly aura. This was a power that was infinitely close to the extreme grade. Even someone as powerful as Song Ke did not dare to use the power of the extreme grade. Even if he could not use the power of the extreme grade, Sun Ke was definitely much stronger than the average quasi-supremes. This was without a doubt. After all, he was once an extreme grade supreme. At this moment, a black bird suddenly dashed out of the black killing formation, and an endless amount of deathly aura exploded from the black bird. Boom! The golden rock and the black bird crashed into each other, and an intense battle ensued. That is... How is this possible? In the sky above the Chaos Golden Rock Race's ancestral land, Ping Jingtian was shocked. He stared at the black bird fighting with his ancestor in disbelief. Father, what's wrong? Ping Shi, who was standing next to Ping Jingtian, quickly asked. He had never seen his father like this. His father seemed to be afraid of the black bird. How is this possible? The golden crow ancestor turned into a dead spirit. Ping Jingtian's voice was trembling. What? Ping Shi and the golden rock goddess were shocked to hear Ping Jingtian's words. That black bird was the golden crow ancestor. How did the golden crow ancestor turn into this? Did the golden crow ancestor fall in the graveyard of deities, turn into a dead spirit, and come back? The golden crow ancestor stabbed Sun Ke in the back when Sun Ke was fighting in the chaotic demonic world. Not only did he hide in the chaotic golden rock race's ancestral ground, but he also exterminated the chaotic golden rock race. Sun Ke and the golden crow ancestor had a deep grudge against each other. It was only natural for them to be enraged when they met. The battle between the Golden Rock and the Golden Crow was an evenly matched battle because the Golden Crow ancestor's cultivation level was not weaker than anyone else's. He was also a former ultimate god. These two good brothers of the past were now engaged in a fierce battle between a dragon and a tiger. Those who knew about the Golden Crow ancestor's background could not help but sigh. Boom! Bam! As the two powerhouses battled, the black bird also activated the power of the killing array. An extremely tyrannical power erupted from its body. Clang! The black bird flapped its wings and made a sound like a divine sword being unsheathed. The black bird's wings turned into two black lights and directly slashed at the chaotic golden rock. The two black lights were like the ultimate weapons of death as they broke through the chaotic golden rock's power. A layer of golden light appeared on the chaotic golden rock's body when it was about to hit the chaotic golden rock. The two heavenly blade-like black lights could not break through the protective divine light on Sun Ke's body. At the same time, countless sword lights rushed out of the chaotic golden rock's body and pierced through the black bird's body. Clang! The sword lights hit the black bird's body but could not break through its defense. However, the black bird was inexplicably shocked as it was shrouded by the endless sword lights. Countless cultivators could see the battle between the two great birds high in the sky. These two lunatics! Someone said something like that. At that moment, all the chaotic Golden Rock clansmen in the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land were nervously staring at the two figures in the sky. If Sun Ke won, then nothing would happen to him. However, if the Golden Crow were to win, wouldn't the chaotic Golden Rock tribe be hunted down by the Golden Crow tribe? At this moment, even Gu Fei was paying close attention to this battle. The commotion caused by Sun Ke and the Black Bird was too great. Soon, the Black Snake clan's people appeared in the distant sky and watched the battle carefully. An expert from the deity race also arrived nearby. The old ancestors of the Earth Spirit clan had also arrived. Although they had pledged allegiance to the Chaos Golden Rock clan and received the protection of the Chaos Golden Rock clan, the old ancestors of the Earth Spirit clan might not necessarily listen to Sun Ke's orders. In fact, the Earth Spirit race's true allegiance was to Gu Fei. If it was not for Gu Fei overseeing the Chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land, the ancestors of the Earth Spirit race would not have dared to attack Sun Quebec. Has Sun Ke gone mad? The second ancestor of the Earth Spirit race said. How would I know? The third ancestor of the Earth Spirit race said expressionlessly. At that moment, even some of the old antiques were alarmed. There were incomparably powerful figures in the distance. It was obvious that these fellows were watching. Sun Ke, do you need help? At that moment, two figures walked out of the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. They were two stone men. They were the demonic Spider and the dragon head demon. Whether it was the great demon spider or the dragon head demon, they were both extremely powerful. No need, I can handle it myself, Sun Ke said hurriedly. He was afraid that these two fellows would attack him. It would not be good if he was accused of colluding with the demons. Oh, all right then. The Taoist of the demonic spider shrugged and said indifferently. They were sent out by their master as soon as they came out of the ancestral earth vein. They were somewhat displeased. They had only come out for a breather before returning to the depths of the ancestral earth vein to cultivate. Since Sun Ke did not need their help, they were happy to watch the show from the side. The fellow fighting Sun Ke did not seem to be weak. The aura of death on his body made their hearts palpitate. Swoosh! The black bird kept flapping its wings, which were like two heavenly blades, creating pitch-black spatial rifts in the void between heaven and earth. However, the chaotic golden rock that Sun Ke had transformed into was not weak either. It kept clashing with the black bird. The killing formation in the sky showed signs of collapsing as the two forces collided with each other. All right. Ping Jingtian and the others watched the scene nervously. They knew that their ancestor could not be defeated. Sun Ke is quite capable. Although Gu Fei did not leave the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land, his divine consciousness had enveloped this part of the world. He could clearly sense everything that was happening outside. He was surprised that the black bird was actually a golden crow. After all, the golden crow was a connate divine bird born from the sun. It was impossible for it to look like that. Chapter 35-32. Ancestral God Realm, Eastern Continent. In the skies above the primal Kate's Golden Rock Race's ancestral land, a resplendent golden divine bird was engaged in a fierce battle with a black bird that exuded boundless death energy. This was an incredibly shocking scene. It was a battle between the divine bird and the bird of death. The entire sky was enveloped by golden light and black chi, and the two powers continuously clashed. In the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock Race, all the clansmen of the Chaos Golden Rock Race were staring nervously at the two figures fighting in the sky. If Sun Ke lost, the Chaos Golden Rock Race wouldn't be annihilated because of Gu Fei. However, Sun Ke was the primogenitor of the Chaos Golden Rock Race. If he lost, the entire race would lose. This would be a huge blow to the Chaos Golden Rock Race. The overlord of the East Continent would become a joke. The Golden Crow ancestor, who had turned into a dead spirit, wanted to see the Golden Rock clan become a joke. That was why he wanted to fight Sun Quebec. This was the Golden Crow ancestor's goal. The return of the Golden Crow ancestor changed the situation of the entire Eastern Continent. At this moment, balls of divine fire appeared in the distant sky. Within each ball of divine fire, there was a firebird faintly visible. Powerful fire path divine power surged out. That is, inside the Golden Rock clan's ancestral land's defensive formation, Ping Jingtian was both shocked and angry at the sight of those firebirds. It seemed that the Golden Crow clan's ancestral land had been planned from the start. Are they the remnants of the Gold Crows? Ping Shi stared at the dozen or so divine flames in the sky, and an incomparably powerful battle intent immediately erupted from his body. The Golden Crow clan had practically exterminated the Chaos Golden Rock clan in the ancestral god realm, and they were a great enemy of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. The Chaos Golden Rock clan and the Golden Crow clan had reached a point where they would not rest until one of them was dead. Grandfather, please open the ancestral formation, Golden Rock Goddess said with a solemn expression. What? Ping Jingtian was taken aback. Open the ancestral array? What do you want? The great ancestor was fighting the Golden Crow progenitor with his life on the outside, so it was safest for them to stay within the ancestral formation. Once they left the ancestral formation, they would be in danger of being attacked by the remaining Golden Crows. No one knew what other trump cards Golden Crow had up his sleeve. Go and kill the remaining Golden Crows, Golden Rock Goddess said in a deep voice. No, said Ping Jingtian. His granddaughter was being too impulsive. How could the Golden Crow tribe be killed so easily? The Golden Rock Goddess did not say anything else. The remnants of the Golden Crow clan still dared to show up? At this moment, the Taoist transformed from the great Yin demon spider suddenly said coldly, "They're just some small shrimps. What's there to worry about?" The dragon head demon said disapprovingly. He didn't take the dozen Golden Crow experts in the sky seriously at all. Then how about you go and get rid of these small fries? The Taoist transformed from the great Yin demon spider glanced at the dragon head demon and said coldly, "Ever since the Chaos Demon Ape's physical body was destroyed by someone, and only his primordial spirit escaped, the great Yin demon spider was the leader of the Chaos 3 demons." However, the dragon head demon had never been convinced by the great Yin demon spider. "Humph! Do you think I'm stupid?" The dragon head demon naturally wouldn't fall for the great Yin demon spider's trick. "TSK, you want to be the boss? Just think about it." How could the great Yin demon spider not know what the dragon head demon was thinking? The dragon head demon spider had never been convinced that the dragon head demon was superior to him. Hee, what goes around comes around. Who knows who will be the boss in the future? The dragon head demon smiled with a gloomy face. Rumble. At this moment, a series of roars came from the sky. The entire sky was shaking as if the world was about to explode. The great Yin demon spider didn't speak anymore because the battle in the sky was about to end. Song-K, die. High up in the sky, an angry roar came from the endless, deathly aura. Then, the terrifying killing formation shrank rapidly and rushed into the black bird's body. In the next moment, the black bird and the killing formation merged perfectly. The black bird's power and speed suddenly soared. It appeared in front of the chaotic golden rock in an instant, and its black wings slashed the chaotic golden rock's body. The chaotic golden rock that Sung-K had transformed into was sent flying. Ancestor. Seeing this, the chaotic golden rock clansmen were all stunned. "You traitor, you want to kill me? Do you have the ability to do so?" Sung-K's voice was heard. He didn't seem to be heavily injured. The chaotic golden rock's body trembled, and countless golden feathers immediately flew up. They turned into a peerless sword light and pierced through the black bird in an overwhelming manner. This was an extreme sword technique created by the chaotic golden rock ancestor Tsang Quebec. It was called the Golden Rock Sword Technique. Although it wasn't as powerful as the 9 heaven-punishing swords, it was still extremely powerful. However, Song-K couldn't use extreme power. He had to control it carefully. Otherwise, if he triggered the heavenly punishment, he would die under the heavenly punishment before the other party could do anything. Song-K wouldn't make such a low-level mistake. "Kill." The black bird didn't say anything else. It flapped its wings and rushed forward. Countless sword lights that pierced through the sky shattered. Boom! Another muffled sound rang out, and Song-K was sent flying again. Golden divine feathers floated down from the sky. "Good Lord!" Song-K was shocked. After the golden crow fused with the killing formation, its combat strength increased by a lot. However, it didn't break through to the extreme grade. This was shocking. One should know that the golden crow had already broken through to the extreme grade. However, the golden crow ancestor didn't take that step. But Song-K couldn't. Because if he continued to increase his strength, he would touch the bottom line of this world and trigger the heavenly punishment. How is this possible? Song-K couldn't believe it. Nothing is impossible. The black bird appeared in front of Song-K again. Without any suspense, Song-K was sent flying again. This time, he didn't just lose feathers. He spat out a mouthful of blood. This, in the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan, Ping Jingtian and the others panicked. If this continued, the ancestor would lose for sure. "Father, should we ask Gu Fei for help?" Ping Shi asked anxiously. In his opinion, only Gu Fei could defeat the Golden Crow ancestor. This, Ping Jingtian hesitated. "Grandpa, what are you hesitating for?" the Golden Rock Goddess said. If they didn't ask Gu Fei for help now, would they have to wait until the ancestor was killed by that guy before asking for Gu Fei's help? All right, ask Gu Fei for help. Chapter 35-33. Sung Kei was out of luck. After the Golden Crow merged with the killing array, its combat power had increased by a large margin. Now, the Golden Crow was suppressing Tsang Quebec's absolute power was enough to overwhelm everything. This saying was unmistakable. At this moment, the Golden Crow ancestor's power was definitely much greater than Sung Kei's. He kept blasting Sung Kei away. "Ha, it's Sung Kei, you're still alive?" In the sky, the Golden Crows were very excited. Their master was going to defeat Tsang Quebec. It was only a matter of time. Recently, the Golden Crows had been fleeing like stray dogs, while the chaotic Golden Rock clan had been chasing after the Golden Crows. The warriors of the Golden Crow clan who had survived until now were all powerful warriors, and none of them were weak. The dozen or so divine flames appeared at the same time, and the combined power was earth-shattering. While Sung Kei was being suppressed by the Golden Crow's ancestor, Ping Jingtian had already arrived at the valley where Gu Fei was cultivating. He went directly to the boulder. "Why are you here?" Gu Fei did not open his eyes. He only said this indifferently. Given the strength of his spiritual force, it did not matter if he did not use his eyes in many cases. "The ancestor is in danger. Please help, Taoist Gu Fei." Ping Jingtian stated his intention. He did not need to beat around the bush in front of Gu Fei. "Oh?" Gu Fei opened his eyes and looked at Ping Jingtian, who was standing under the boulder. Sung Kei's failure was within Gu Fei's expectations. He knew that the black bird had something up its sleeves. However, he did not expect it to be the human array unification. The human array unification could greatly increase a cultivator's combat power. This way, the balance between Sung Kei and the black bird was broken. "Sigh." Gu Fei sighed before standing up from the boulder. He tidied up his clothes, took a step forward, and instantly disappeared from the boulder. This, Ping Jingtian, who was standing under the boulder, was shocked by Gu Fei. In the next moment, Gu Fei appeared high up in the sky and walked out of the ancestral formation. He was as terrifying as a peerless ancestor of war. "Kill!" The black bird charged over again. This time, its target wasn't Sung Kei, but Gu Fei, who had suddenly appeared. "I think you should just surrender." Gu Fei glanced at the black bird and said, "Ha, surrender?" Golden Crow laughed out loud, as if he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. "Since that's the case, let me invite you to leave." After saying that, Gu Fei did not say anything else. He directly stretched out his hand and grabbed at the black bird. His palm rapidly grew in size and actually enveloped a part of the world. Rumble! Heaven and earth shook, and pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the void. The black bird had nowhere to run. All of its escape routes had been sealed. "How dare you!" Golden Crow ancestor was both shocked and angry. He had no choice but to take on this attack from Gu Fei. Once he retreated, Gu Fei could still kill him. Boom! With a loud bang, the two forces collided. The black bird that the Golden Crow ancestor had transformed into was sent flying by Gu Fei. But soon, the Golden Crow ancestor rushed back. Swoosh! Golden Crow ancestor suddenly spread his wings. Then, spiritual tattoos rushed out from his wings, turning into deadly demonic lights that pierced towards Gu Fei. Pfft! Gu Fei did not care about these things at all. He directly rushed forward, and all the black lights that pierced towards him were shattered by the power that burst out from his body. Bang! Gu Fei instantly arrived in front of the black bird and punched right at the Golden Crow ancestor's abdomen. A muffled sound was heard. Roar! Golden Crow ancestor shrieked in pain and was flung away. Gu Fei's punch was not weak. To be able to take it, it was enough to show how powerful the Golden Crow ancestor was. Gu Fei easily blew away the Golden Crow progenitor's black bird. This shocked all the cultivators who witnessed this scene. They found it hard to believe. This meant that Gu Fei's combat ability was above the Golden Crow ancestors. How did you do that? Golden Crow ancestor was shocked to the extreme. This person's strength was clearly comparable to the extreme past strength, but he did not attract the heavenly punishment. It seemed that this guy named Gu Fei had also obtained some secret technique that could increase his combat ability. Thinking of this, Golden Crow Ancestor's eyes brightened. Don't kill him, he's mine. At this moment, Song Ke rushed back and continued to attack the black bird that was transformed from the Golden Crow Ancestor. A strong power exploded, shaking the sky and earth. The Golden Crow Ancestor turned into a black bird and flew towards Song Ke, who was attacking. Without any suspense, Song Ke was flung away again. However, he struggled to stand up and rushed back, even though he was coughing up blood. Seeing that Song Ke was no match for him, Gu Fei did not make a move. With him watching from the side, it would be difficult for Song Ke to die even if he wanted to. After Song Ke was flung away again, he spat out his Extreme Path sword. Once the Extreme Path sword was in his hand, he immediately felt energized. Buzz! His sword vibrated, and beams of sword light rushed out of his sword, landing on the Golden Crow Ancestor's body. Clanging noises were heard, and the Golden Crow Ancestor's body was shaken off by the sword light. What? Seeing that the Extreme Path sword in his hand could not break through the Golden Crow Ancestor's feather defense, Song Ke never expected this. At this moment, the Golden Crow Ancestor used his Extreme Path Divine Weapon. The Extreme Path Divine Weapon could be used, but it could not be activated to unleash extreme power. Even if it was an Extreme Path Divine Weapon, as long as the power unleashed by the Extreme Path Divine Weapon exceeded the limit, God's punishment would still descend. Even the person who activated the Extreme Path Divine Weapon would suffer. Song Ke and the Golden Crow Ancestor carefully controlled their respective Extreme Path Divine Weapons. The two experts fought intensely again, but very quickly, the Golden Crow Ancestor blasted Song Ke away again. Do you need help? Gu Fei crossed his arms in front of his chest as he watched the two experts fighting with interest. No need! Song Ke rejected immediately. He wanted to fight with his own strength and kill his enemies. Only those who walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood could walk further on the path of martial arts and become an unparalleled expert. All right then. Gu Fei smiled and shook his head, continuing to watch the battle. Chapter 35-34. The chaotic Golden Rock Ancestor, Song Ke, was no match for the Golden Crow Ancestor. Peng Jingtian quickly went to find Gu Fei. However, although Gu Fei and Peng Jingtian were here, Song Ke didn't need Gu Fei's help. Therefore, Gu Fei was happy to watch the show. Boom! Golden Crow Ancestor's black bird wings were like blades of death, slashing on Song Ke's body and sending him flying. The power of death was overwhelming. The entire sky was shrouded by the air of death. Endless vitality was cut off. Vitality gathered from all directions and was devoured by the air of death. Roar! Song Ke roared. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. Every drop of blood was shining brightly like stars, dispelling the air of death around him. Die! Song Ke almost went crazy. He charged back from afar and pounced towards the Golden Crow Ancestor fiercely. The divine sword in his hand turned into 9 beams of sword light, and pierced towards the Golden Crow Ancestor. The power of the golden rock in each ray of sword light had reached its limit. It couldn't be increased anymore. If it did, it would trigger a divine punishment. Song Ke could not bear the consequences of triggering the heavenly punishment. Break! The Golden Crow Ancestor transformed into his human form. With a loud shout, an extremely powerful formation energy gushed out from his body. Countless formation runes interweaved in the air, causing the space to twist. The 9 streaks of immortal sword light were immediately repelled by the power of the formation. You! Song Ke's shock was no small matter. How did this guy become so strong? Rumble! The formation energy exploded from the Golden Crow Ancestor and swept across the entire sky. Not only was the space distorted, but a powerful devouring power also devoured Song Quebec. Song Ke felt the world was spinning, as if he entered another world. What? Song Ke was taken aback. He realized that he had already dedicated himself to the Absolute Array. His surroundings were filled with array runes. These were black array runes, and every array rune emitted a heart-palpitating aura of death. Even though he used the power of the Great Tao, Sun Ke found it hard to see through the boundless formation runes. He was trapped in a supreme killing formation. Break! Naturally, Sun Ke wouldn't sit still and wait for death. He directly slashed forward with his sword, wanting to break the killing formation. However, the sword light rushed forward. Although it broke through layers of the formation, it still dissipated in the void in the end. It couldn't really break the killing formation. Sun Ke, die! The voice of the Golden Crow ancestor resounded in the surroundings. Then, countless runes began to burn, emitting terrifying flames of death. The entire killing array turned into a furnace in an instant. The black fire of death immediately burned towards Sun Ke from all directions. Wherever the fire of Wei passed, even the void was silently annihilated. Roar! Sun Ke roared furiously. A ball of divine fire spread from his body and enveloped him. The black fire that was about to burn his body was immediately blocked. At this moment, Sun Ke was like a golden elixir in a furnace of death, being continuously burned by the flames of death. Damn it! Sun Ke was both shocked and furious. Back then, he and the Golden Crow ancestor were sworn brothers. It could be said that the Golden Crow ancestor grew up under his protection. The Golden Crow ancestor actually stabbed him in the back when he was fighting in the chaotic demon realm, almost killing all of his descendants. Now, the Golden Crow ancestor wanted to refine him into ashes as well. This almost drove Sun Ke crazy. Golden Crow, I won't rest until you die! Sun Ke roared madly, and his face became extremely hideous. Is that so? Do you have the ability to do so? Ha ha! The Golden Crow ancestor's voice came from all directions. It was erratic, and even someone as powerful as Sun Ke couldn't sense its exact location. Roar! Sun Ke was furious, but there was nothing he could do now. He couldn't use the power of the Extreme Path, and he couldn't truly activate the true power of the Extreme Path Divine Sword in his hand. This made him very sullen. After all, if he could use the power of the Extreme Path, he could directly break this killing formation and rush out. But it was different now. The world had changed, and the power of the Extreme Path was suppressed. The Divine Punishment transformation was extremely terrifying, and it could wipe out all power of the Extreme Path. No one would use the Extreme Path power at this moment. Therefore, those who possessed the Extreme Path power chose to hide instead of doing something extremely dangerous like the Golden Crow ancestor and Sun Quebec. Rumble. The Extreme Path level killing formation was running wildly, and it kept weakening Sun Ke's divine power. At this moment, Sun Ke could only defend passively. He finally knew why the Golden Crow ancestor dared to come to him alone. The power of the unity of man and formation was so powerful. It was definitely not as simple as 1 + 1. Haha, the ancestor is here. Sun Ke is dead for sure. In the sky, the dozen or so golden crows were both surprised and overjoyed to see this. If the ancestor could kill Sun Ke, they would have a chance to take back the #1 ancestral ground of the East continent. It won't be that simple. Someone said this because Gu Fei was still watching the show from the side. Gu Fei was the biggest variable in this battle. Once he took action, it was very likely that he would change the outcome of this battle. Do you need help? If not, I'm leaving. Just then, Gu Fei's voice rang in Sun Ke's mind. Sun Ke didn't speak. He used to be an Extreme Path Supreme Being, and the ancestor of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. Naturally, he had his pride and wouldn't ask for help easily. Sigh. It's not that I don't want to help, it's that you don't want my help. Then I have no choice. I'm leaving. Gu Fei shrugged and turned to leave. Don't. Seeing that Gu Fei was about to leave, Ping Jingtian became anxious. If Gu Fei didn't help, then the ancestor would be in danger. It's not that I don't want to help, it's that he doesn't want my help. I have no choice. Gu Fei spread his hands and said, Fellow Taoist Gu, please save my clan's ancestor. Ping Jingtian hurriedly said. He couldn't let anything happen to Tsang Quebec. The chaotic Golden Rock race was rising, and if Tsang Ke was killed by the Golden Crow ancestor, the chaotic Golden Rock race would never be able to rise again. To the entire chaotic Golden Rock clan, Tsang Ke was very important. Unless he begs me. Otherwise, there's no need to talk. Gu Fei was somewhat displeased. This Tsang Ke was simply too stubborn. He valued his face so much that he could even throw away his life and not ask for anyone's help. Chapter 35. As long as there's life, there's hope. Gu Fei didn't view fame as important as Tsang Quebec. To him, staying alive was the most important thing. Tsang Ke's stubbornness annoyed him. This fella used to be an extreme great sovereign, so why couldn't he see through fame and fortune? Gu Fei didn't understand. Therefore, if Tsang Ke didn't beg him to save him, Gu Fei wouldn't help. Gu Fei wanted to teach Tsang Ke a lesson so that he would know whether he wanted his own reputation or his life. Peng Jingtian and Peng Shi panicked when they saw that Gu Fei wasn't going to save Tsang Quebec. Only Gu Fei could save Tsang Ke right now. If he didn't help, no one else could. In the entire Golden Rock tribe, Peng Jingtian's cultivation was the strongest after Tsang Quebec. Peng Jingtian definitely didn't have the ability to save Tsang Ke from the killing formation. Right now, the entire Golden Rock tribe was hoping that Gu Fei would save their ancestor. However, Gu Fei did not make a move. As a result, all the members of the Golden Rock tribe were as anxious as ants on a hot pan, unable to sit still. Fellow Taoist Gu, why don't you save my ancestor first? Could it be that you really intend to watch him die? Peng Jingtian quickly said. Humph, say whatever you want. Gu Fei crossed his arms in front of his chest and said nonchalantly. Peng Jingtian didn't know what to say and was sweating profusely. At this moment, the Golden Crow ancestor tried his best to turn Tsang Ke into ashes so that he wouldn't need Gu Fei to save Tsang Quebec. The Golden Crow ancestor was wary of Gu Fei. This fella's cultivation and battle prowess were not bad. He was a formidable opponent that ordinary cultivators couldn't compare to. Rumble! In the killing formation, an endless amount of death energy exploded and rushed towards Tsang Ke, who was in the middle of the formation, from all directions. In the next moment, the entire killing formation was shaking. While Tsang Ke was shocked, he had no choice but to activate the divine power in his body to fight against the annihilating power of death. He was struggling to hold on, and his divine power was constantly being consumed. This made him feel a little powerless. Tsang Ke understood his situation very well. If he didn't ask for Gu Fei's help, then he would still be refined into ashes by the Golden Crow ancestor in the end. Both his body and soul would be destroyed. Why are you doing this to me? Tsang Ke said while clenching his teeth. He couldn't understand why the Golden Crow ancestor would stab him in the back. If it wasn't for his protection, the Golden Crow ancestor would have died a long time ago. How could the Golden Crow ancestor exist today? The Golden Crow ancestor repaid kindness with enmity, causing Tsang Ke to be enraged. Why? You really don't know? If you don't die, how can I have the chance to make a name for myself? The Golden Crow ancestor said coldly. You just want to stand up for yourself? Tsang Ke said in disbelief. He never thought that this was the reason why the Golden Crow ancestor stabbed him. He just wanted to stand up for himself. That's right. I want to become an existence even more powerful than you. I want to stand high above everyone else and be worshipped by everyone. The Golden Crow ancestor said. You. Tsang Ke was speechless. Didn't he also value his reputation more than his life? At that moment, Tsang Ke was filled with emotions. Is reputation really that important? Tsang Ke muttered to himself. Of course it is. The Golden Crow ancestor said in an incomparably firm tone. Tsang Ke didn't say anything else and attacked the formation like a madman. The formation shook violently and countless black Tao patterns were dissipating. However, no matter how Tsang Ke attacked, he couldn't break the formation. Save me. Tsang Ke transmitted his voice to Gu Fei directly. What did you say? Gu Fei's voice rang in Sun Kei's mind again. I beg you to save me. Sun Kei uttered these 4 words with great difficulty. Ha ha. Gu Fei laughed out loud. At this moment, Sun Kei didn't say anything else. Swish! At this moment, Gu Fei suddenly disappeared from the void. When he reappeared, he was in the middle of the killing formation. He actually barged into the killing formation as if there was no one there, and arrived next to Sun Quebec. Even Sun Kei was extremely shocked when he saw Gu Fei suddenly appear by his side, and he really wanted to know how Gu Fei did it. Gu Fei, must you do it? The Golden Crow ancestor's voice was extremely cold. Why can't I? Gu Fei said in disdain. Very well, then I shall turn the both of you into ashes. The Golden Crow ancestor said coldly. Haha, do you have the ability to do so? Hearing this, Gu Fei burst into laughter. Kill! The Golden Crow ancestor roared in anger. Countless formation patterns interweaved into Dao diagrams. Those Dao diagrams directly triggered the strongest energy and charged towards Gu Fei and Sun Quebec. Humph! Gu Fei sneered and moved immediately. Like a phantom, he punched towards the destructive energy. Boom! With a loud bang, the energy of death clashed against Gu Fei's primordial chaos energy. In the next moment, the energy of death collapsed, unable to withstand the primordial chaos energy. On the death formation patterns were disappearing continuously. The primordial chaos energy was definitely the nemesis of the energy of death and could restrain the power of the killing formation. The Golden Crow ancestor was shocked to see countless formation runes disappearing. He hurriedly tried to fix the killing formation, but the other party wouldn't give him any chance. Eat my fist! Gu Fei roared and punched again. The primordial chaos energy exploded from his fist and was as violent as a flash flood. The void in front of Gu Fei's fist collapsed and was destroyed in the next moment. The boundless energy of death was dispersed and a figure fell out from the darkness. It was the Golden Crow ancestor. The Golden Crow ancestor didn't expect Gu Fei to be so powerful. He definitely wasn't a match for this guy named Gu Fei. In order to attack the Chaos Golden Rock race's ancestral land, the Golden Crow ancestor had investigated beforehand. For example, the number of the Chaos Golden Rock race and the other experts in the ancestral land were all within the Golden Crow ancestor's expectations. However, he didn't expect Gu Fei's cultivation to have risen to such a level. Even if he became one with the formation, he still wouldn't be a match for Gu Fei. Without any suspense, Gu Fei broke the Golden Crow ancestor's killing formation with just a few punches. Then, he rushed out with Sun Quebec.